after an extra long weekend in St. Louis, the Mets are back in town for 10 game homestand. Jerry Manuel's team looking for its first series win of the year. David Wright's back in town, and look who's here as well, a brand new first baseman. Tonight will mark the Major League debut of Ike Davis, and well, sometimes it's hard to find your way around your first day in a new class, but first base is still in the same place it's always been, and Ike's able to find that just fine as he gets ready for his debut. At Citi Field in New York, the New York Mets play the Chicago Cubs. Mets baseball is presented in HD by IOTV. Get your HD free with IOTV. And a pleasant good evening, everybody, and welcome to Citi Field. Gary Cohen, Ron Darling, Keith Hernandez with you tonight as the Mets start a 10-game homestand with the first of 4 against the Chicago Cubs. And with Mike Jacobs struggling and now designated for assignment, and Daniel Murphy not ready to go, the Mets have made a move that a lot of people expected them to make coming out of spring training, and that is to promote first baseman Ike Davis, 23 years old. He'll make his big league debut tonight.
Well, he'll be wearing number 42, too. Everybody's wearing 42 again tonight. Jackie Robinson tonight. What a way to break in. He was wearing it out down in AAA in Buffalo, and also he carried it over from spring training where he almost hit 500 for the whole spring for the Mets. I love his swing, Gary. He's got a natural swing. I think he's got a great chance to be a good player. Mets looking for some pop or maybe a little lightning in a bottle, hoping to get it from Ike.
Ike Davis was the Mets' #1 draft choice in 2008, and there's always something a little bit extra special when a homegrown product makes his Major League debut.
Yeah, of course, and I think what's great about it, I was asking some of the old-timers, what was it like when Darryl Strawberry came up in 1983? They said about 25 times what it was for Strawberry. Strawberry that year went on to win the Rookie of the Year, so the Mets would love some kind of production like that from Ike Davis.
Ike Davis is in the lineup tonight, batting 6th. Not in the lineup tonight is Jose Reyes, 0 for his last 17, struggling in his first week back in the major leagues, and he asked for tonight off.
Well, I think the 20-inning game had a lot to do with that. Jose played the entire game, got the game-winning RBI with the sac fly in the 20th. We noticed, Gary, in Colorado when he tried to steal third base that the explosiveness wasn't there, that he was more than a step behind. And that's, he was out for a long time without any activity. So I think he's still in the process of building up his stamina and his leg strength, and I think he will get with it. It's a good night for him to get off.
And while the rookie Davis makes his debut, another rookie, left-hander Jonathan Niese, makes his 3rd start of the year.
Well, I think the most important thing for Niese, as we saw him in his start in Colorado, struggled with his breaking ball, which you will do in Colorado. Hopefully we'll see more curveballs tonight against the right-handed heavy lineup of the Chicago Cubs.
And Randy Wells will go for Chicago, one of the best rookie pitchers in the league last year.
Won 12 games, pitched close to 200 innings. He's the kind of guy that they look for to be one of their 2nd or 3rd starters. Great year last year.
So 2 struggling clubs trying to get it going, the Mets and the Cubs, for the first of 4 at Citi Field. All the action coming your way tonight right here on SNY. The Chicago Cubs are in town, 5-7 to begin the year. Here's their lineup, brought to you by your Tri-State Ford dealer. Marlon Byrd moved into the leadoff spot. First time he's hit leadoff since 2007 when he was with the Texas Rangers. Derek Lee has been consistent early in the season for the Cubs. Giovanni Soto, the Rookie of the Year 2 years ago, trying to bounce back after a dreadful year last year. And Alfonso Soriano, 5 years left on his contract at $90 million. Think the Cubs would like to trade that away?
How about Tom Ricketts, the owner? As you look at Jonathan Niese, who's going to start his third game. I really liked watching Jonathan. His first 2 starts really hurt by the home run ball in Colorado. We'll see against this right-handed heavy lineup of the Cubs if he's able to throw his secondary pitches.
And we'll take a look at the Lexus Metsi defense. And you can see the fielding percentage there, the minor league games that Mr. Davis has played. He's got a nice glove. He made some errors in spring training, but I kind of just added that to just him being nervous. His first big league camp, and when you make your first error, kind of a little Archie Bell on the drills, you can tighten up a little bit. But this kid, I have a very good feeling about.
What do you think he's feeling right now?
Oh, he's very nervous. In the field, you're okay. You kind of settle in if you're confident in your glove. But that first at bat, I guarantee you got the butterflies in the stomach.
You wouldn't mind a little ground ball to shortstop with a play 6-3 at first. Nice and easy.
Without a ball in the dirt.
There you go.
Marlon Byrd will lead things off. Remember, Byrd began his career with the Phillies, and he was a leadoff hitter there at 133 career games starting in the leadoff spot. But this is his first in 3 years as Lou Piniella shakes up his lineup, which has been a bit lethargic through the early part of the year. Jonathan Niese set to start his third game of the year, and Byrd takes below the knees for ball 1. John comes off the start in Colorado on Wednesday, allowed 5 runs in 5 innings, working without his good curveball. And Byrd yanks one foul, 1-1. You see all the Cubs players as well as all the Mets players wearing number 42 tonight. The Mets celebrated Jackie Robinson Day in Colorado. And there's John Maine, who started last night in St. Louis. Very interesting outing, I thought, for John. Hit in the air to right field. Lots of room out there for Frank Cora, but he's sent back to the warning track to peel it off to retire Byrd for the first out of the night. John last night was throwing 90 to 92 in the first inning after vowing to throw more fastballs, but his velocity seemed to drop as that game went along.
It almost seems like he has doesn't have the strength in that shoulder that he had before, but I think he's going to try to go back to the pitcher he was before. The problem last night was he had 27 foul balls, and that just ups your pitch count.
But that's always seems to have been a problem with him. But now instead of throwing that high fastball at 93, 94, it's coming up 87, 89.
And they foul it off or put it in play, and that's the problem.
And finally, Colby Rasmus got one in the middle of the plate and hit the 3-run homer that ruined Maine's night. 1-1 to Jeff Baker, playing second base tonight. Maine wound up throwing 115 pitches in 5 innings. And the other problem is he's throwing his changeup at 84, so there's just not a whole lot of separation there. At the feet of Baker, and it's 2-1.
Well, it's nice to see that first curveball from Jonathan Niese. Yeah, I think that, it seems to me like John's in between with all of his pitches right now. This is the curveball from Niese. He's got a great one. His problem has been it's so big that it's been difficult for him to throw it for a strike.
Fastball fouled off. Well, the Mets certainly witnessed a couple of high-quality curveballs over the weekend in St. Louis.
Adam Wainwright? Yes, he's got a good one, doesn't he? And
Carpenter. Carpenter's funny. Watching him pitch, you realize he's a breaking ball pitcher.
Yes, he is.
He'll throw 75% breaking ball.
So was Steve Carlton.
Yeah. It worked out all right for him, didn't it?
Yep.
2-2 to Baker, and he lines one into right field for a base hit. So Baker, who had a huge series for the Cubs here last year when they came in, going 6 for 10 in that 3-game series, as a base hit his first time up tonight.
Well, there's one of my favorite guys, Sweet Lou. I always tell the story when I was a young kid invited to camp because my last name was Hernandez. Piniella is kind of like, I think, Portuguese.
Yeah, Portuguese.
And he came up to me at the Yankees and wanted to know where I was from. And he was just so great to me. I was like 19 years old. You never forget those things.
That's right.
Here is Derek Lee, a rock in the middle of this Chicago batting order. And he takes a strike.
This is the third left-hander the Cubs have faced in this young season. They're 1-1 against left-handers.
They should be a good team against lefties with all the right-handed pop they have in their lineup with Lee and Aramis Ramirez and Alfonso Soriano.
And then you see a team like the Florida Marlins that struggles against lefties, so it doesn't always work that way.
Exactly.
Lee, one of those guys. Nice changeup, I think, here. Catch it in the middle of the plate, though. The thing about Derek Lee is you can almost count on him for 300, knock over 30 home runs, 100 RBIs. If he does that this year, he'll go over 300 home runs and 1,000 RBIs.
Lifetime 284 hitter, but since joining the Cubs, and he's now in his 7th year with Chicago, he's a 304 hitter. And Soriano has been a mystery. No longer the leadoff hitter, hitting 6th in the order tonight. And Lee fouls it off.
You know what's happened to Soriano, Keith? He's got the yips out there in the outfield, and sometimes when you have that defensively, it permeates your entire game.
And he's not getting any younger. He's got knee problems. Just the wear and tear. As you get older, it's much more difficult. He's had some great years.
1-2, and Lee fists one foul. Well, they signed Soriano after that 40-40 year he had for the Nationals, and they thought they were getting a player who was going to combine power and speed, but the speed is gone.
And in fact, they in the first year they won the division title. But what's happened to him? He's become a station-to-station runner on the bases, even when he's not stealing bases.
And a good breaking ball by Neese. That cutter in on Lee, and he strikes him out. And Lee comes up wobbly, but he's all right.
Well, this cutter, Keith, almost turned into a slider, didn't it?
Yep.
Three-quarter delivery from Neese.
You can see the circle on the backside.
Looks almost like a slider grip, doesn't it?
Yes, it does, and the way he released it.
But that's, for a guy who throws his fastball 90, that's coming at 86. That's pretty hard for a slider. Yeah. So here's Xavier Nady, the former Met, coming off a missed season last year because of Tommy John surgery. Part-time player for the Cubs, making his 5th start tonight.
He's just had a series of serious injuries over his career. You Met fans remember how well received he was here, and got traded, of course, when they traded to the Pirates. They traded to the Pirates for Roberto Hernandez
and Oliver Perez.
Yep.
That was the throw-in the deal.
Well, that was the Duaner Sanchez. After getting hurt in the taxi, they had to make a deal. So they made a deal. Remember, in those 265 at-bats, the Mets 14 home runs, 40 RBIs, just did an outstanding job.
It is amazing when you consider that Nady was only a Met for 4 months, yet he is remembered so fondly by Met fans. 1-2, and rightly so. Just a terrific guy.
Yes.
You really hope for him to have further success now back in the National League. First went to the Pirates and then on to the Yankees before he hurt his elbow. Nady now 31 years old. He's trying to negotiate the opening inning with a runner at first and 2 down. 1-2 to Nady. And he gets that cutter in on him, and he rolls one out to David Wright. And David throws him out to end the inning. A hit and 1 left. Mets come to bat on the bottom of the 1st with no score. Brought to you by Geico. Jose Reyes out of the lineup at his request. Angel Pagan in the leadoff spot, and Ike Davis making his big league debut, hitting 6th. Here is Pagan, who's been the only hot bat in the Mets lineup over the last few days, facing the right-hander Randy Wells.
Just had an outstanding season. You can see he started off hot this year. 12 wins, 10 losses last year, and 27 starts for the Cubbies.
The Mets over the last 2 games have played 29 innings. They've had 13 hits in those 29 innings, and Pagan has 5 of the 13. A 3-hit game in the 20-inning affair on Saturday, and then 2 more hits and the only 2 RBIs for the Mets last night in St. Louis. And so Jerry Manuel moves him up to the leadoff spot with Reyes sitting tonight. And Pagan takes a strike.
You can see right now that Mr. Wells is a sinker ball pitcher, and Ronnie, you're right. He's got a very just nice, easy motion dart thrower.
Yep.
Kind of motion I used to love.
He was not a huge prospect, a 38th round draft pick coming out of junior college, and it took him a good 7 years in the minor leagues before he finally surfaced last year, and he made the most of it. Just misses 2-2, and starting pitching has been the greatest asset for the Cubs so far this season.
Well, they've got some good pitchers. Zambrano, of course, and Dempster is strong. Here he is, Carlos Zambrano.
Let's see Carlos in the game tomorrow night as Pagan fouls one off. The starters ERA for the Cubs so far this year is 3.71, but their bullpen has been dreadful.
The bullpen's lost 5 games also.
5.59 ERA, 4 blown saves, and that'll turn Lou's hair even more gray.
Larry Rothschild's hair
is too. And Pagan lifts one to right center. Long run back from Marlon Byrd. And he tracks it down for the first out.
Well, Marlon can still fly. Came up with the Phillies back in 2002 in the Coors Light Cubs defense. You got the Gold Glover over there at first base, 3-timer. Soriano as a liability out in left, and they need someone like Byrd to really patrol center field. There's Alfonso.
The word on Soriano is he's trying to lose the hop. You know how he hops every time he catches a fly ball? He's trying to take that out of his repertoire because he's gone from being a liability to being an enormous liability.
Yeah.
Luis Castillo takes a strike.
Well, the problem is, the atmosphere in Wrigley Field is a little edgier than it used to be because of the 101-year drought here. But what they've done now, which is pretty tough, but it's how it goes. When the ball is hit to Soriano, literally the entire Wrigley Field Stadium gets up, like anticipating what's going to happen.
Which is, they're fearful.
They're fearful.
Well, that's a tough left field to play for anybody because it's so deep down the line. You've got the brick wall, especially this time of year when you don't have the ivy to cut down on the bounce off the wall, as Castillo just got a piece of that to stay alive.
And then the famous wind that you have to deal with.
That's called hanging in there by my chinny chin chin. That's as close as it gets. Louis, very unorthodox in that way.
Castillo got the night off last night after playing the 20-inning game on Saturday. And he strokes one to left. First chance for Soriano. And he catches it. 2 out. No hop. Back pocket. There's your umpiring crew for tonight. Jeff Kellogg is the crew chief for this unit. Jeff Nelson, Todd Tichenor, and Mark Carlson joining Mr. Kellogg. Snap, crackle, pop.
Kind of a younger umpiring crew.
Well, the entire staff has gone younger.
Right,
We had a few retirements right before the season began.
Got a few firings, too, didn't they?
Well, they called them retirements.
Okay.
It's David Wright. David just 2 for his last 18 after a fast start.
Well, I think a lot of that had to do with Mr. Carpenter and Mr. Wainwright. And that 20-inning game was a boy. That just buried a lot of guys.
Jaime Garcia pitching five no-hit innings.
What did you think of him, Ronnie? I thought he was a changeup and that curve.
I haven't seen as much movement on a changeup since the young Santana. I was impressed.
Cardinals say right now, and since the start of spring training, he's been their best starting pitcher, which is quite something to say when you're talking about Carpenter and Wainwright. 0-2 to David. David has drawn 17 walks already this year through the first 12 games.
Well, the people that have been behind him, whether it's Jacobs or Bay, have struggled. And if you're pitching out there, and David, you identify the toughest hitter in that Met lineup, it's going to be number 5, number 42 tonight, of course, and pitch accordingly.
And as a hitter, you cannot get frustrated and start swinging at pitches that are out of the strike zone. You can only take what the pitcher gives you.
And do you think he started to do that last year at times?
I think it was a whole different. I think it was the right field models, the Mo-Zone. I think it was the new ballpark.
Strike 3 called as Wells paints the outside corner. And so the Mets are down 1-2-3 in the opening inning. John Neese back to the mound for the second with no score. Start this season. You see 1 for 13 at Citi Field last year, but the 1 was a home run that beat the Mets in a ball game. Ramirez 8 for 47 to begin the year, but 3 of the 8 hits have been home runs.
He's got 8 RBI too, so he's been productive, even though he's off to the slow start.
He has been an effective run producer for the Cubs for a long time. Lunging for that one, and it's 0-2.
He missed a lot of games last year. See Soriano on deck with a left shoulder problem, and even in 306 at-bats, he had 65 RBIs.
It's Jose, night off, at 20 innings, had to kill him. Nice sombrero.
It's a different kind of a look.
Oh, wow, that's great.
Same picture.
I wonder if that's some of the folks that are in the stands tonight because they haven't been able to get back to Europe because of the volcano in Iceland.
I think you're right. We have a contingent of 27 folks from France who have been stuck in New York since last Thursday because of the volcano. Swing and a miss, and Neese has his second strikeout as he fans Ramirez, 1 out of the second.
Well, good fastball. I like this from Jonathan Neese when he goes and climbs the ladder because that is going to set up his breaking ball. If he can throw the ball by hitters up in the zone, which he does here against Ramirez, he can counter that with coupling a breaking ball off that same height.
So 1 out, and here's Soriano, who's hitting .263 on the year. You see the low on base percentage. He's always been very aggressive at the plate. Takes that fastball high.
Always wears those white shoes. A lot of white on those shoes.
I've seen a lot of players now starting to have a lot of white in their shoes.
Hit in the air to deep right center. Pagan going back. to the warning track and off the wall. Soriano to second, and he'll have to pull in there. That had a lot of hang time for Soriano to not even be thinking about a triple.
Well, you said he got rid of the hop. He didn't, Gary.
Hop coming out of the batter's box.
Yes, as you see this pitch here, catch a lot of the plate. And we know Soriano is so strong, a 40-40 man.
That's the deepest part of the ballpark right there, the 415. This has got too much plate. It's up. He just covers it.
Here's the hop, Gary.
Well, he thought he had it, but if you come to this ballpark, you can't assume a home run, particularly when you're hitting at 415 out there.
Fifth double of the year for Soriano, so the second hit for the Cubs puts a runner in scoring position for Giovanni Soto. And Soto takes a strike. Soto, 2 years ago, National League Rookie of the Year. Last year, sophomore bust.
He lost a lot of weight. 40 pounds? He got big last year, so that'll teach him.
1-1 to Soto, who, when he had his big season 2 years ago, gave a tremendous amount of credit to Henry Blanco, who was the Cubs' backup catcher, who really mentored him. And he said without Blanco's help, he never would have accomplished what he did. Change up from Neesmith is 2-1.
Maybe they should have kept Henry instead of Henry going to San Diego. Sometimes when you have a young catcher, it's good to have that mentor around for his first 3-4 seasons.
Boy, Hill is now the Cubs' backup catcher.
Well, Soto said of last year about his weight that he said, I wasn't strong. His quote was, which I thought was kind of funny, I wasn't strong last year. I was just fat. So I think he's learned his lesson. That's a self-deprecating comment there.
Hit just .218 last year. Grounds one down to third. Nice backhand pick by David Wright. And a true throw to Ike Davis for the second out. And Soriano holds at second.
Comes in nicely, and, well, it's in between hop, but that's just, you always work from the ground up. Nice backhand by David.
It's kind of a do-or-die play, huh, Keith, on that play?
If you can't get in front of it, it makes it a do-or-die play. If you get in front of that ball, it's going to, if it takes a bad hop, it'll come off your chest, and you're going to hold the runner at third, at second base, Soriano.
And the Mets are going to walk Ryan Theriot intentionally and go after the pitcher Wells. What do you guys feel about this move early in the game? It's something we see from time to time. Number 8 hitter, runner at second, 2 out.
I don't like the move. My opinion, I don't like the move only because Randy Wells handles the bat very, very well. Almost hit 200 in his rookie year last year. 12 sacrifice hits tells me he knows how to bunt, handle the bat. And, Theriot's, he's got off to a decent start. He had a nice year last year, a 280 hitter, but certainly a guy that you think you can handle. And if you don't, you go 2-0 on him or 2-1, then maybe you kind of pitch around him. But I'd like to have a shot to get him out and have the pitcher up next inning.
I do not like it early in the ball game when there's lots of time left, lots of time for your offense to get up and hit. And I always love a pitcher leading off an inning.
So Wells will get an opportunity here with 2 out and 2 on. Wells 0 for 2 this year. You see 184 lifetime and 49 at bats.
Do you know that this is the 680th game the Mets have played against the Cubs over the years?
Is that right?
If the Mets win tonight, they'll be 340 and 340. Wow. 500. How about that?
It's a lot of games. Back to the right side. Ike Davis handles the hop. And the flip to Neese. That retires the side. So Davis with his first big league assist. Now he'll get his first major league at bat when the Mets come up in the bottom of the second. Look at the Shea Bridge out in right center field, handling plenty of traffic tonight. And Jason Bay will lead off at the bottom of the second. Bay did not start the game in St. Louis last night, came in late and in fact made the final out of that game. It's been a struggle for Jason. 0 for his last 11 and has struck out 18 times in 46 at-bats, the most strikeouts in the league. And Randy Wells starts him off with a fastball, drilled toward left center. Soriano won't get it. Plays it on one hop, though, to hold Bay to a single. So Jason Bay in his return home gets one off the end of the bat for a leadoff hit.
A little bit quick here towards the end. See the fastball right there. I love that, isn't it? Just so nice to see how the ball's rotating, fastball, slider.
Is that the speed of it seemed to you when you were going high?
But no, it was a little slow, a little bit faster. But when you're red hot, it does seem like it's in slow motion, and you have all day to make your choices.
Well, it was good to see. That was a pitcher's pitch for first pitch, and Bay was even able to get a hit.
Jeff Francoeur swinging at the first pitch. And there's Ike Davis out in the on-deck circle, getting ready for his first big league plate appearance. Off the fists, and it's 0-2 to Jeff, who is 0 for his last 10 after his roaring hot start.
You know what you love about watching Randy Wells facing Francoeur? First pitch slider, after he gave up the first pitch, fastball hit the Bay. Then he came inside. He's a guy who's not afraid to double up with his fastball inside. He's not a hard thrower. Knows what he's doing out there, though. Purpose with every pitch.
Popped up. And the shortstop, Theriot, taking charge. One away.
The first baseman, Ike Davis.
There are a few happier moments for close followers of the Major League Baseball team than one of their homegrown prospects comes up to make his Major League debut. Every Met fan knows about Ike Davis. If they didn't know him before this spring training, they got to know him well from his performance down in Florida. And off to a hot start in Buffalo this year. And takes a strike from Randy Wells.
He leads him off with a backdoor slider. Rookie coming up, not going to throw him a first pitch fastball.
And you see the deep breath there. You can be sure the butterflies are churning. Pokes one foul, and it's 0-2.
Cool change-up, Ron.
Yeah, first pill, breaking ball, change-up, second pitch.
18th overall pick out of Arizona State in the 2008 draft. You see his overall minor league numbers and how he tore it up this spring. And in 10 games in Buffalo this year, hitting .364 with a couple of home runs and only 5 strikeouts in 33 at-bats, which is a very encouraging sign for a young slugger as well. Wells ahead of him 0-2, and Ike slashes one foul.
Good cut. Wells did not like that 0-2 pitch, Ronnie. He got that right down the ties up.
He's missed a couple times. Missed with the 0-2 to Francoeur, too. That's going to be interesting. You know, you talk about, I'd watch Ike Davis. He reminds me a lot of the way he moves around, like John Olerud, who was so good for the Blue Jays, and of course here with the Mets.
His dad, Ron Davis, had an 11-year major league career, mostly as a relief pitcher.
Ron, nice. I like the way he took that pitch.
And there's got to be something about a second-generation big league player having a little more of a comfort level when he first comes up.
Now, the thing that's different then, though, Gary, is that the kids weren't allowed in the clubhouse like they are today within a lot of clubhouses. So, but being around the ballpark, you know, Father's Sunday that they have occasionally at the ballpark, that helps.
Worked his way back into the count, 2-2 now.
Just familiarity with being at big league ballparks. You know, his father's friends who are big league ball players, you know, having a catch with them. All those things make you more comfortable when you get in these stadiums with the third deck.
2-2 now to Ike Davis. And he lines one, base hit. Ike Davis with a base hit in his first big league at bat. And they'll take that one out of play and get it ready for the trophy case. Mr. Ike Davis batting 1,000 in the major leagues.
Mike Herbst gets the ball. Nicely done. Nice smile. There you go. Oh, this is a good change-up here. Yep. It stayed back. Not a great, pretty good pitch to get that one off the end of the bat. See, he kept the shoulder in. He's out in front. Let's go with one hand. That's nicely done. We saw that a lot in spring training. He has great plate coverage, even when fooled.
So a nice moment for Ike Davis, a base hit in his first big league at bat, and now the Mets have 2 men on for Rod Barajas. And they've been throwing him a lot of stuff soft out of the strike zone.
He is a guy that comes in up there looking for a first pitch fastball to wail on. Takes a big cut. He's got a long swing.
Noted it during the road trip. The on-base percentage lower than the batting average. No walks and 2 sacrifice flies. Now he has himself a positive count to work with, and he hasn't had many of those lately.
Well, it's unusual for a young pitcher. You're not always going to get a 2-0 fastball with Wells. Sometimes he'll cut that fastball away, throw a little slider, might even throw him a changeup.
Barajas facing Wells for the first time, as about half the lineup is. Wells faced the Mets here last year. Barajas grounds one foul. He pitched a really good game last September. Lost to the Mets 4-2, but only allowed 1 earned run and didn't walk anybody in 6 innings. Alex Cora playing shortstop tonight and hitting 8th. Anzai.
That's for Fukudome, number 1 for the Chicago Cubs.
What is that? Is that a witch's hat with that? Show that again.
Oh, nice play.
Down by Ramirez, out at second, and the relay by Baker for the 5-4-3 double play. Good extension by Aramis Ramirez to start that one around the horn. But Ike Davis during that inning making his presence felt with his first big league hit. No scores. Jonathan East back to the mound for the 3rd inning to face the top of the Cubs batting order. And, you go back to the last inning when you walk the number 8 hitter intentionally. You get out of the second by getting the pitcher. But now, instead of having the pitcher lead off, you've got the top of the order coming up.
Yeah, and Bird's on a little bit of a hot streak coming off his finest year last year in Texas. Got a 3-year contract with the Cubbies. That's a good pitch for East. That first pitch curveball for a strike.
Funny, they talk all the time about players going from the American League to the National League and having their careers be boosted by that. For Bird, it was the other way around. Hit hard. Castillo can't get it. And Bird's got himself a leadoff hit. I mean, he had the one good year in Philadelphia, but then struggled, went to Washington and struggled, and didn't really blossom as a player until he went to Texas.
I think the big thing for Marlin, and he just didn't know what kind of hitter he was. He went to Texas, and I think having the hitting coach, Rudy Jaramillo, there, really they bonded, and it really worked for Marlin. And luckily for Marlin, Rudy Jaramillo has come here to the Cubs.
Which the Cubs felt was going to be a huge boost for their offense, which sagged last year. They haven't quite gotten the payoff yet. Jeff Baker swings and misses at the changeup. The Cubs last year had the greatest decrease in runs scored from 2008 to 2009. They went down 148 runs last year. The Mets were second. They went down 128 runs last year. You see where the Cubs went from first to ninth in the league. 0-2 to Baker. And they felt as though bringing in Jaramillo, who has as good a reputation as any hitting coach of this generation, would make a difference.
Well, he's been in pro ball for 32 years. This is his 16th consecutive as a hitting coach. And people that have worked with him, we know Jeff Francoeur went down to work with him. There's guys from all over the league that try to get his advice.
Well, I read an article about him. I forget where, but it was an in-depth article, and he said, I don't like to change someone's style, and I agree with him. You come up with your own batting style. I try to work within what the player feels comfortable with, and I think that's a great philosophy.
Well, the Walt Briniak, Charlie Lau school aside, isn't that what most hitting coaches aspire to do, to try to work within what they're given rather than trying to remake a player's swing?
You never like to, it's plan F if you're going to change someone radically. You know, the guys had no success, and you're going to try something just radically different.
I think the most difficult thing for a hitting instructor is that they have to take their own style out of being a hitting coach. What they did as a player, what they saw or thought about. They have to go back to basics and kind of retool what they would have done if they had themselves coaching.
And I think most of the best hitting coaches have not been tremendously successful major league hitters. I mean, there have been a few over the years.
Well, I think they've had to study it, and I think the other thing that makes it more difficult for great hitters to teach is that after a while they get fed up watching bad hitting. You know,
so Ted, how about Ted Williams? He had a choice adjective he used for bad swings. We can't use it on the air.
Well, what can you use?
No, we can't use that. Ted was tough. And Ed Brinkman, an old teammate of mine, who was a light-hitting shortstop for the Tigers, and he played in Washington with Ted Williams. He said Ted Williams helped him immeasurably with his hitting. He said I became from a 175 hitter to a 210 hitter under Ted Williams.
Sharply hit, should be two. Castillo to Cora, and on to first for the 4-6-3 double play. 2 out and nobody out.
Taylor made. Easily turned.
Louis knew the speed of that ball. It was hit awfully hard by Baker, would allow him a lot of time to get that ball perfectly to Cora.
By the way, Keith,
yes,
just wanted to congratulate you on your first Emmy Award.
How about that?
That you won last night.
Thank
you know, Ronnie, he had 11 Gold Gloves, you had 1, but in the Emmys now, you guys are all tied.
No, I always say Keith and I together had 12 Gold Gloves. That's how I work.
But congratulations,
Thank
it was
you.
well earned.
Awesome.
Fantastic.
It was nice. It's my second career here, and I didn't go to any school or like a lot of guys have, and I learned from a lot of good, fine people that helped me out along the way. Gary, you included. Ted Robinson comes to mind. That was helpful. You learn from everybody. Gary Thorne was here. Just a lot of people. Bill Webb. I've been with Bill for years, our director. I just kind of took half of what Bill said and threw away the other.
That was longer than your acceptance speech last night.
I thought the music was going to come on.
1-2 to Derek Lee, and it's up and in 2-2. Lee struck out his first time up. No score. We're in the third. Mets and Cubs starting a 4-game series tonight. And Neese comes with the cutter in on his hands, still 2-2. I haven't seen a lot of curveballs from Neese after that one that he bounced low and in early.
I thought he might do it there because he threw the high fastball that Lee took. He could have come right back with the curveball, but he has this new toy, this cutter that he really likes, and he's getting success from it, so it's hard to get away from it.
Kind of rolled that curveball.
Yeah. Well, it's not easy to throw that thing, knees in black all the time. It's a lot of break.
Xavier Nady hoping for a turn on deck with 2 out and nobody on. 3-2 to Derek Lee, who sees more pitches so far this year per at bat than anybody in the league. And he sees strike 3 call. Didn't think so. Well, Jeff Nelson says it's a strike, and Neese has his 3rd strikeout. Helped out by the double play. Still no score. In the bottom of the 3rd inning, when we last saw Alex Cora, it was in the 10th inning of the game on Saturday. He was in the game, a game that lasted nearly 7 hours, for about 17 seconds. He came in the 10th inning, in the middle of an inning, to play first base. He made an incredible diving catch going into the stands, and then he was pinch hit for him in the top of the 11th. But it was a memorable moment for Cora, who had only played 2 previous games at first base in his career.
Yeah, that's right. I heard it on the radio. I watched from like 5:30 to 7. And then I said, well, I got to go meet my friends for dinner over at Nick and Tony's in East Hampton. And it was a half-hour ride. I listened on the radio. And then had dinner, came out, and was on WFAN, because then I left the radio on when I turned the car off, and the game was still on.
I thought it was a replay.
I couldn't believe it.
Same for me. I was supposed to have dinner with my parents. I was in Boston in the hotel room, and they were meeting me, and they came up to the hotel room and were watching it the 14th and the 15th. And my parents are big baseball fans, so we ordered in. Watch the rest of the game. They wanted to watch it. Cool.
I know this will shock you, but I sat on my couch and watched every pitch. 3-2, tapped right back to Wells, and he makes the play on Cora for the first out. Well, it is Jackie Robinson night here at Citi Field. Let's check in with Kevin Burkhardt. Kevin?
Yeah, guys, the first time the Mets have been home since Jackie Robinson Day, so the Mets had a nice ceremony on the field. Some of the Negro League ball players here tonight. I'm with one of them, Jim Robinson, who grew up in Harlem and played from 52 through 58, and You were 17 years old, Jim, when Jackie made that mark on April 15th at Ebbets Field. What do you remember as a kid about that moment?
Well, I remember that because I was a great baseball fanatic. I played baseball in the high school, and I said, "Wow, I got a chance now." My father didn't think that was such a good deal. He said, "Forget about it. It's not going to happen."
Really?
Yeah, he said that.
So you had the optimism, but he was more pessimistic.
My father was an old timer. He didn't believe it was ever going to happen. He was an old Giant fan,
Yeah.
and he just didn't think there was any chance, But what happened was that the second year that Jackie was with the Dodgers, he and Roy Campanella were working in the youth program at the Harlem Y. I was in that program.
Really?
Campy and I became good friends. He had a brother-in-law who was the ROTC commander at North Carolina A&T College. That's how I got 4-year scholarship.
And you got a scholarship to AT&T, and that was a rare opportunity at that time, wasn't it?
Right, yeah, because I was going to City College, taking one course a night. So to get a 4-year scholarship, that was a big deal for me.
So tell me about your friendship with Roy Campanella, and after you met through that, how did that develop? As Jonathan Neese, it works at the plate here. Tell me about that and what happened with that friendship.
Well, Campy and I stayed friends a long time. Because he had a business in New York, and I would see him during the winter. He had a liquor store on 7th Avenue, and I would always stop by, and we stayed in touch for a long time. When he got hurt and got paralyzed, then he moved to California, so we had much less contact at that point. But up until then, we were really close.
Well, you played in the Negro Leagues. Obviously, you're only 17, as I said, when Jackie made that mark. So you played starting in '52, as this went right back to the pitcher, and Wells should take care of Neese for the second out. What was the league like, though, at that point? Because, the mark had been made. The door had been open a little bit. And as you said, you were optimistic, but yet here you were toiling in the Negro League still. So what was that like?
Well, the league was then in pretty bad shape.
Yeah.
There were only about 6 or 8 teams left. And the attendance had fallen off quite a lot. But we still had some pretty good ball players there. It's just that it wasn't like I read about or I experienced when my father used to take me when they had about 2 divisions and they had 12 or 14 teams. So we were just barely hanging on,
It was a crumbling league, essentially.
It was crumbling. It was really having a hard time in staying alive.
Angel Pagan bats here with 2 outs for the Mets and strokes one to left. That's going to be just foul. And, here on Jackie Robinson tonight, as we talk to Jim Robinson, no relation, but former Negro League player. One more thing. You talked about that crumbling league. You talked about your optimism when you were a teenager and saw Jackie make that mark. So once you were in this league and saw how it was going, did you still feel like you had a chance? And you did have a chance with the Cardinals, correct?
I thought I still had a chance. I mean, baseball was so much a part of me that I always thought I had a chance. And I played my senior year in college. Oscar Charleston, the great Oscar Charleston, was the manager in Philadelphia. And he asked me, did I want to play? And I said, yeah. I broke my arm the next day. I didn't see him again until August. Philadelphia came to the Yankee Stadium. Late August. So my first game in the Negro League was in Yankee Stadium.
Wow. Pretty good memory anyway, right?
Played about 9 or 10 games because the season was over. The next year they had dropped out, and I ended up with the Indianapolis Clowns. While playing with the Clowns, Quincy Troop, who was a famous Negro League catcher, signed me to a contract with the Cardinals.
And of course, you had to go over to the war in Korea. It was just ending, and then the time you came back, it was the opportunity passed. Well, Jim, thanks so much for sharing the stories and coming out tonight, okay?
Okay, Ken. Thank you very much.
Guys, fun to hear the stories of these former great ball players. We'll go back to you with Angel Pagan up with 2 away.
All right, Jim Robinson looking great at age 80. His name is on the Wall of Honor at Miller Park in Milwaukee. Wow. It's always great. There's so few of those guys left, and it is always so nice to hear from them and hear their stories about those days back in the Negro Leagues. 3-2 to Angel Pagan, and he grounds one to the right side. And Baker handles it. And the Mets are easy prey for Randy Wells. 3 ground balls in that 3rd inning. Off to the 4th. John Neese back to the mound with no score. Ground ball to second base.
No, look, you know, always the one thing we like about Mr. Pagan, he is a hustler. He runs everything out. He comes to play.
Yeah, that's a ball that right to the second baseman. You know you're out, and busting it is something to be admired.
Xavier Nady lines one over short, and he's going to base hit to start the Cubs in the 4th inning against Jonathan Nice.
Well, watch this right in here, folks. People love to go after baseballs. Whoa, watch that foot.
Watch it. Keep watching.
Oh! That's like a Rube Goldberg machine right there.
I'm very disappointed, Gary. You didn't drop the slipping falling on him.
Well, it was more, you know, it was more in the manner of a dive after a pearl.
That's right.
No move by Nady as that ball just snuck a few feet away from Barajas. 1-0 to Aramis Ramirez, who struck out his first time up. Well, the Mets offense continues to struggle, much as the Cubs does. Mets have now gone 103 at-bats without an extra base hit, going back to Friday night when Gary Matthews had a double in the 9th inning. On the inside corner to Ramirez, 1-1.
Oh, this looks like home plate umpire Jeff Nelson's got a little high strike zone and calls that inside strike at borderline. I'd take advantage of that, right?
Both in Nice's favor, because that's what he's featuring with that cutter.
Take advantage.
See that streak? That's the longest for the Mets since 2002. And this one's lifted out to center field, where Pagan is patrolling. And Ramirez retired, one away. Nady back to first. Seaver gets Jonas Schwartz and Joe Beningo fired up as they go head-to-head with the Daily News beat writers and special celebrity guests about the latest happenings in New York sports. On Daily News Live, presented by Citi, weekdays at 5, only on SNY.
You know, watching the Cubs lineup, Keith, you mentioned something. They don't have a lot of speed, kind of base-to-base team. When you have a team like that, you better be grouping some hits together. It's going to be hard to score.
Well, what they do have is right-handed power.
They have power, absolutely.
They've hit 16 home runs in their first 12 games, and that's second in the league.
They've also, half of their games they played have been one-run games, so, you know, turn that over a little bit, and all of a sudden they're one of the better teams.
Curveball from Nice misses to Soriano, and it's 2-0. Old number 42, Giovanni Soto, waiting on deck. I feel like I'm seeing double.
It's a pitch you have to watch here. 2-0 to Soriano.
Got it in on him, 2-1. Soriano drove a double to the wall in right center in the second inning for what he thought was a home run.
You know, kind of like a little runner, the little cutter in on his hands. Soriano thought he had missed a good pitch. I thought it was a nice little cutter. You can see where it got foul tipped off where that pine tar was. He got in on his hands. Soriano always crouched and on top of the plate.
And the curveball looped into right field for a base hit. Nady will go first to third. And so Soriano is 2 for 2. And the Cubs have a threat first and third and one out.
Oh, he just kind of gets this one and fights it off. Oh, the hanger running. Big hanger. Still tied him up, but it's not a good pitch right there. And pay the price.
So in a scoreless ball game, the Cubs have a runner at third with one out, and a chance for Giovanni Soto to break this scoreless tie. Soto grounded out to third as David Wright made a nice backhand pick in the second inning. He's hoping to get a ground ball to work with here from Soto, who does not run well. Cubs now with 5 hits off Nice. Nady at third and Soriano at first with one out. There was a time when you would expect Soriano to be running in this spot, but not anymore. And a letter high strike, 1-1.
Well, the only problem you have here is that Jonathan's getting away with the calls from home plate umpire Nelson right now, but you know he's got to get on top of that ball a little more. He wants that ball more, you know, thigh high running in, not across the chest, because those are the kind of pitches that get crushed. That's good right there. Better. This one he got on top of, pulled on it, and made sure that it was in or off the plate.
He's been pounding that inside part with the cutter. Now on 2-1, he leaves it away, and Soto swings through it, 2-2.
Almost like he chose a two-seamer here. See, that ball had a little run to it.
The pitch he struck Lee out on looked like a two-seamer, didn't it?
It's nice. Have that where the ball's running away from the right-handers, then crowd them in again.
And look from the overhead camera, brought to you by Pittsburgh Paint. Now a full count to Soto. So you'd expect Soriano to be running here with 3-2 and 1 out, and a runner standing at third.
Maybe not.
Not going. And it's in there for a call, strike 3. Good. Fourth strikeout for Nice, 2 out in the inning.
High strike again, and that one's a strike, I think. Well, the Cubs look like they have no life, huh?
Yeah, and if you're the hitters, you have to realize that that is going to be called a strike. As you can see, Bud Barajas does a nice job of bringing that down. Catches all the plate, plenty of plate.
And that's a good pitch to lift right there. Why are you taking that pitch? You want to walk?
Nice look from the Pittsburgh Paint overhead camera, getting a work out here in the fourth inning. So the number 8 hitter Ryan Theriot bats with first and third and 2 out. It's a big out for Jonathan Nice. Chance to get through this inning unscathed. Theriot was intentionally walked his first time up and takes the cutter for a strike. Now Lou Piniella has watched his team struggle offensively. They are 14th in the National League in runs scored. Fastball up and away. That's the hardest pitch he's thrown tonight at 91. Can a pitcher fall too in love with a cutter the way he can with a splitter?
I think he can. I think that he has to make sure that he's identified that that's his best pitch right now.
Good fastball for a strike.
Because what happens with his cutter, it's interesting. He hasn't mastered it yet, so sometimes it cuts inside and sometimes it stays true. And that's been putting the hitters off. But I still think he's going to have to incorporate that curveball at times. Why not bounce one now? You're in danger of the runner on third, but you got to trust your catcher.
1-2. Fastball foul back. So he was staying with hard stuff against Theriot after that first pitch cutter. Nady led off the inning with a single. Soriano with a 1-out hit. And he's trying to work around that trouble here in the fourth. One and two to Theriot. Ties him up. Did he go? No. Oh. First base umpire Todd Tichenor gives him a pass, and it's 2-2.
I see more this year. The umpires used to be automatic, Ron. So when you just get anything close, it was an automatic ring up. And I don't think he swung.
How about Ike Davis playing behind Soriano at first base?
Well, that's how much they know that he has not been running. Never would see that against Soriano.
2-2. On the inside corner, strike 3 call. Great job by Jonathan Nice. Back-to-back call third strikes to get himself out of fourth inning trouble. deck circle.
Yeah.
No, I can't see that one either.
God, there's no one here.
Luis Castillo leads off the home fourth inning against Randy Wells and drops down a bunt. Wells off the mound to bare hand, and he gets Castillo at first. One of the few bunts that Castillo has attempted this year, and Wells throws him out.
Well, we only had one player on, and that was the bare hand. And this is a nice play. It's a nice bunt. Close. Nice cheek by Mr. Lee. Randy Wells getting a ball. 3 of the last 4 outs have been made by him. Nice play there, though.
How about where Derek Lee's foot was in the middle of that bag?
Yes, wasn't good footwork, was it? You got to stride towards. You got to stride towards the runner. What's Alfonso going to the beach?
It's a twofer.
You got to play this game. Come on. There's 6 more innings. There's the boombox.
Traveling this season, take the Mets with you. Subscribe to MLB.tv today to see every Mets game live or on demand on your computer. Visit Mets.com to order and get more details. MLB.tv, baseball everywhere. Here's David Wright, who took a call third strike his first time up. And he drives one to the left for a base hit. So David with just his third hit in his last 20 at-bats, the Mets' third hit of the night.
First ball, fastball in. He got it in. David turns.
See that two-seamer. That ball will work its way in on David, and it did, but not enough. David's so strong to get that ball into left field.
So the Mets have a one-out base runner, and now Jason Bay, who saw one pitch and singled to the left his first time up, snapping an 0 for 11. And Wells taking a look at Wright.
This is the time where maybe you have to identify struggling to hit the ball in the gap, struggling to hit the ball in the ballpark. Maybe you have to be more aggressive on the base path.
And breaking ball in for a strike. Well, certainly you're not going to play hit and run with Bay because he's just too much of a swing and miss guy.
And he's more of a pull hitter. I mean, he does have gap power to right center, but he's not a guy you want to shoot the gap between first and second base.
And Wells gets ahead of him 0-2.
See the defense right here, basically straight up.
Club south, they'll play deep, huh, Keith?
Yes, they do. A little bit shaded to pull is Bird in center.
You play that deep with the infield in. Give up a lot of those kind of humpback liner hits.
0-2. And Bay takes strike 3 called on the inside corner.
That is a good pitch right there. Ahead in the count.
Slider away, fastball in. Darts that inside corner by Randy Wells.
Randy Wells is impressing me with his control, and he's mixing his pitches up.
This is a guy who never pitched in high school, never pitched in college. He was a catcher when he was drafted and played his first year in the Cubs farm system as a catcher. There's Jeff Francoeur with 2 out. And he pops one up, shallow right field. Nady coming on to make the call. And the Mets are done in the bottom of the 4th. Randy Wells and Jonathan Neese matching zeros. We head to the 5th. Again, no score.
No.
Jackson, the number 2 pick in the 1966 draft. Whom did the Mets take with the number 1 pick? Here's the small hint.
Okay.
He was a catcher. But if you don't know it, you're not going to know it because
he didn't distinguish himself.
He never made it. Here's Randy Wells, who takes ball 1 from Jonathan Neese as we start the 5th inning.
I do know that answer only because in the winter I'm trying to catch up on my Mets trivia to at least be able to have a conversation with you, Gary.
Well, this particular guy was a name, and it's no fault of his own he got hurt, but he's a name that hung over the Mets for years because Reggie Jackson was the number 1 pick. Most scouts, though, said that this guy was the better choice.
Wow.
It wasn't like the Mets had gone out on a limb to take him over Reggie.
Reggie had some offers to play some football, too, right? Reggie, where did Reggie go? ASU, like Ike Davis?
He went to Arizona State.
Yeah.
Arizona State. Had the great rookie year, and the next year he kind of had an off year, and Charlie Finley was all over him. He hit a home run one time on TV. Monty Moore was the play-by-play guy on TV for the Oakland A's.
Toward the hole and a base hit for Randy Wells. The former catcher has himself a leadoff hit. Marlon Byrd coming up. As Ike Davis's Major League debut continues, let's check in with Kevin.
Guys, I was talking to Ben Wagner, who does the play-by-play for the Buffalo Bisons, and I was asking him what Ike did in AAA and give us a little idea how his time down there was. And he said, he was just so impressed with his focus, and he was asked every day about playing in the big leagues, and he always, the thing that he thought was neat, not the comments about getting there, his comments were always about staying there and what he has to do to sustain a long career. So looking ahead, just knowing that he has a lot of work to do. I asked him defensively, because in the spring we saw, looked a little bit shaky, and the scouting report was very good defensive first baseman. He said he played very well, showed good range left and right. In fact, just the other day, had a nice diving stop of a one-hop line drive and turned a 3-6-3 double play, so that was good. Talked to a scout today, said he really likes him both defensively and offensively, as long as you're not expecting Adrian Gonzalez, but that scout also said he could be a 25 home run guy. And Ronnie, what did you say earlier in the game, that he kind of reminds you of John Olerud?
Yes.
Well, Ike's father, Ron, was on the Subway pregame show with Chris and Bobby. He was asked, who does he remind you of? And he said, kind of like John Olerud. So you hit it on the point. And I have a feeling, Mets fans, if they get John Olerud with 25 home runs, I think they'll be pretty happy with that. Guys, back to you.
And a broken bat, liner into center from Marlon Byrd. And so back-to-back hits for the Cubs to start the 5th inning. As Wells pulls in at second.
Sorry, Gary. This is something I've noticed about Jonathan. He gives up a lot of hits in the innings pitched.
Yeah, he does. One of the reasons he throws a lot of strikes. And secondly, I think because he hasn't quite mastered that cutter, he'll throw some that are nasty on that inside corner, but like that one, he'll leave a little bit over the plate. Now, you can't fault him there. He broke the bat of Marlon Byrd. Marlon's strong enough to get the ball to center field, but he throws a lot of strikes. He's going to give up a lot of hits. Can he kind of bull his neck through these kind of innings?
So let's see what the Cubs do here with Jeff Baker. 2 aboard and the big hitters behind him. Baker 1 for 2. We'll see if Lou wants to bunt in this spot. Corners come in. And Neese takes a look at second.
That's a good play by Jonathan Neese right there. It's probably called from the bench. Fake the second base, not to keep the pitcher close, to see if Jeff Baker tipped his hand.
And he didn't.
He did not.
He did not take the bait. I think he's going to bunt, even though he's hot. Nope. Maybe he's going to give him a strike.
Lou's a former hitter. He wants his guys to hit.
And he watched Baker have a great series here last year. He's now 7 for 12 in this ballpark.
And he had a base hit in his first time up, and yes, he hit into a double play, but it was a bullet right at Castillo.
Derek Lee waiting on deck.
And that moved right back now. He's not playing for the bunt.
And a good cutter by Neese to get even. Jeff Baker, the former Colorado Rocky, can play just about anywhere for the Cubs.
This is the one that is nasty. Just running in on the hands. And for the right-handed hitter, they see middle of the plate, and then it just takes that right turn.
Just missed. I see I got a reaction from you, Ron. I saw the corner of my eye. I missed just in.
You did. You're right.
I'm the old hitter here.
It was a little four-seamer in. Just missed inside. I agree.
Just missed.
Well, Jeff Nelson's given the high strike. You can't give every strike. And Baker bounces one to third. Wright has to hurry in. Goes across his body to get the force at second. Tough play for David Wright, and he makes it for the first out. as Wells moves over to third.
Well, once he comes in, he can't get the force at third. He's too far away anyway. Get the other runner because you don't want a base hit and 2-run score. You always want to try to get the 2, gets rid of it fast. Louis has no chance to turn it. Not hit hard enough.
So for the second straight inning, the Cubs have a runner at third with less than 2 out. Dan Warthen's going to pay a visit to the mound before Neese pitches to Derek Lee.
You know what I like about that play is that all infielders have to, before the ball is hit to them, go through this litany of what I'm going to do when I get the ball. And David probably had in his mind, if I get a ground ball, I'm going to try to at least get the forced runner at second to still allow Neese to get one more ground ball. Good thinking.
Well, Neese has had Lee's numbers so far tonight. Struck him out swinging in the first and looking in the third. 2 of the 5 strikeouts for Jonathan. You see the 7 hits, and the only walk was an intentional walk. Trying to keep this game scoreless in the 5th inning.
Well, let's see how they counter. He's rushed Derek Lee in. First 2 at-bats. Derek Lee, a very intelligent hitter. Are they going to try to work more away here in this 3rd at-bat? There's Rod.
And, of course, Lee's a guy who hits a lot of balls to right center. Now, you got a pitcher standing at third base. He hits a fly ball to normal right center field. Can the Cubs even think about sending Wells against Francoeur?
Sure, absolutely. If it's deep enough, it's all about the depth.
Well, after watching him throw out a guy from, I don't know, medium right field last night on the fly, Jeff's just been amazing.
I've just never seen a guy, and we're talking about his throw out in St. Louis yesterday, a guy who just can't wait to make a play in right field. He just loves when that ball's hit to him.
And what was amazing about the play he made on Ryan Ludwig in the first inning last night is the way he brought the ball from his left side all the way back around to the right and then made a perfect throw.
Yeah, the transition was beautiful, quick, and as always seems to be, he makes a throw that's right on the money.
2-1 to Derek Lee. And that one misses high. So now Neese behind 3-1 with Xavier Nady on deck.
Well, this is a good pitch to hit right here. Obviously, got a pitcher in trouble.
Lee with 3 home runs on the year. And he swings and misses. 3-2.
Ball 4. That's those big swingers. And Lee's got a big, long swing. Power hitter here. And that is ball 4.
Better add a little more break to it. Baker's the runner at first. Not going. And Lee takes ball 4, and the bases are loaded. So there's the first unintentional walk issued by Jonathan Neese. And now, here's where Lou Pinella's revamped batting order comes into play. Normally, he'd have Aramis Ramirez in the cleanup spot, but today he decided to go to Xavier Nady, who gets the shot here with the bases loaded. So Nady, back in his former haunts, has an opportunity to untie this game. He's 1 for 2, single to left his last time up.
Whenever I see Xavier Nady with the bases loaded, I can only think of Philadelphia. As long as I see him play with that great Rowan play against the center field wall.
Rowan hurt his face on that play, and even worse now after getting hit in the face by a pitch the other day.
That was awful.
And that really hurts the Giants, who really need Rowan in that lineup.
Well, they can't afford to lose anybody. They're not a powerhouse out over there offensively.
But boy, can they pitch.
Yeah, the Zito coming out of the chute pitching as well as he's ever pitched.
Yeah, tough loss for them like yesterday because Zito left with a shutout, and then I guess Romo gave up the home run to Manny Ramirez. Here's the 1-0, and Nady swings and misses the fastball as Neese threw it by him 1-1.
Big cut by Nady. He was sitting on it, and he's off the plate, and he just under it.
Jonathan Neese, and you can't teach this, it's innate. He just has that little kind of extra on his fastball.
Nady a long way from the plate. And he fouls that fastball away, and now it's 1-2. Well, in the last inning, after Neese got in trouble with first and third, he struck out Soto and struck out Terrio. Now the base is loaded here with Wells at third, Baker at second, and Lee at first with one out. And looking for the strikeout against Nady. Neese has already struck out 5. There's always an air of calm about Xavier Nady. You see the pitch count for Neese. One, two. He struck him out. Jonathan Neese, strikeout number 6. And there are 2 out in the inning.
Well, the Cubs have had their opportunities, and they just can't put the ball in play. Nicely done by Jonathan.
Nice job getting ahead. That way he could expand the strike zone, throw that one down and in like he did Derek Lee, and get the strikeout.
So the Cubs now 0 for 6 with runners in scoring position against Neese. Aramis Ramirez bats with the bases loaded and 2 out. 0 for 2. A strikeout and a fly ball to center. And he swings and misses at the changeup from Neese. 0-1.
Cubs. Fernando Nieve again. And this Cub team is just undisciplined with some wild swingers.
To me, it's like watching a team that's premeditated swingers, Keith. It's almost like they pick a pitch, and I'm going to let it fly, wherever it is.
Well, they have had the reputation of being a free-swinging team for many years. It seemed to change a couple of years ago when Fukudome first came
that's
over.
right.
But when Fukudome faded late in the 08 season, that thing of taking more pitches seemed to fade with him. 0-1 to Ramirez, swing and a miss at the fastball. And it's 0-2.
Cubs just don't have really a third hitter, a guy with an average hitter that hits base hits, makes contact.
That's an 84-mile-an-hour cutter that tied him up. 101 years we've been doing that.
Cub fans are getting a little upset with this team.
0-2. Hit to third. David will take it to the bag. Side retire. What a job by Jonathan Neese. For the second straight inning, Cubs get a runner to third with less than 2 out, and they do not score. There's your Acela fifth inning recap. The Cubs have had the better of the opportunities, but Jonathan Niese has been up to the task. He has fanned 6. However, it's cost him 96 pitches over 5 innings, so we'll see how much he has left. Meanwhile, Ike Davis will lead off for the Mets in the bottom of the 5th. Can you see better with those?
He's got serious eye problems.
Davis, his second big league at bat, had a single to right his first time up, so he puts his 1,000 career average at risk.
Well, they seem to want to throw Ike a lot of off-speed stuff. That was an old presidential slogan.
Popped up, shallow left. Soriano coming on and makes the hop and makes the catch for the first out. So Ike Davis's batting average goes down by 500 points. I guess he hasn't lost the hop yet.
It's really, your head goes up and down when you do that. It's not a good habit.
No. So 1 away. Now Rod Barajas, who grounded into a double play to end the second inning. Mets put 2 men on in the second on hits by Bay and Davis. They had a 1-out single by David Wright in the 4th, and that's been it. Randy Wells has not walked anybody. Struck out 2. And Barajas fouls one back.
That big cut of Barajas.
Well, the Mets streak without an extra base hit is now at 108 at bats. Tatis is already ready.
It's at that time of the game now in the 6th where Tatis has got to start getting loose. You just, you're in the bottom of the 5th and it's the middle of the game. You could be pinch hit in the 7th. You just don't want to. When I was out of the lineup, which was rare, I always kept the bat in my hand. You notice that Rusty always had a bat in his hand?
By the way, speaking of Tatis, both Omar Minaya and Jerry Manuel made the point today that Ike Davis is here to play every day. And a swing and a miss, and Barajas is struck out. 3rd strikeout for Wells. And so that means a diminishing of playing time for Fernando Tatis.
Absolutely. Good slider here by Randy Wells. And I think that needs to be addressed is that, Tatis is going to have to be ready at all times to pinch hit. But lefties or righties, Mr. Davis is going to be in there.
You're not going to bring the kid up and part-time play him. You rest him against a tough lefty maybe, but he's going to play.
And we'll see what he does over the next few weeks, because that'll have an impact not only on Tatis, but also on the future of Daniel Murphy, who's down in Florida trying to rehab his knee, is not nearly ready to play yet, but at some point he will be, and depending on what Davis does, that's going to affect Murphy's future as well.
Atlanta's coming in. They got some guys that can pitch down there, so it's not Zambrano tomorrow night.
The Dodgers got some pitchers.
Yep.
Dodgers, I like their bullpen.
Yeah, a lot more than their starters.
Yes, the bullpen is pretty solid.
Problem with their starters is that their young guys like Kershaw and Billingsley, they 110 pitches in 5 innings.
Right. Tough for those guys to be staff leaders right now. As Cora pulls a base hit into right field. And he'll stop at first as Nady gets it in quickly. So Cora has the Mets' 4th hit, a 2-out single, and that'll clear the pitcher's spot with Niese coming up.
Well, that's always the big hit right there. Ozzie Smith was great at that when he hit 8 for us in those 82 Cardinals, a championship team. He just had that knack of getting on base, whether it's a walk or a base hit, to get that pitcher up with 2 outs and have top of the order the next inning.
You were talking about Ike Davis getting all the playing time. He almost played 2 today, Buffalo was in Scranton getting ready to play a 1 o'clock game. Ike had the workout, the batting practice. He was told at 12:10 that he wouldn't be batting cleanup for Buffalo. Instead, he'd be here. So he had quite a long day so far.
Had to fly here, too.
See him eating an energy bar. Probably didn't get anything to eat.
Sometimes it's better that way, though, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It's like a pitcher finding out at the last minute he's going to make a start if he's a bullpen guy. Invariably, they'll have a good start.
Toward the hole and a base hit for Jonathan Niese. So Niese, who on Saturday became the first Met pitcher to pinch hit in 3 years, struck out in that pinch hitting assignment here, has his first hit of the season.
Well, he has an idea of up there. He can inside out. He locks his hips a little bit, but he gets the barrel through. He's a threat up there.
Jonathan Niese, I think we underrate him as an athlete. Outstanding soccer player. He's competitive. He knows what he's doing.
Gets the jacket.
We'll have to work on that.
Does that lower the athlete component there?
No, the jackets are different now because the jackets are lighter and you can really run in those. The jackets in our day were like the Letterman's jacket you would get in high school. They were just cumbersome and bulky, and you just couldn't run in them.
So the Mets get a runner in scoring position for just the second time tonight. And a chance for Angel Pagan with 2 out and 2 on. Angels fly to center and grounded to second 0 for 2. The Mets as a team began the night with a batting average with runners in scoring position of 171. And Pagan lays off the slider and held the swing in time. 1-0.
Well, it's so critical to get ahead in the count in the RBI situations. Either first pitch fastball hitting, out of the box, one swing, or getting ahead in the count.
And now Wells, for a rare time tonight, falls behind 2-0.
Get out Pagan on a changeup in his last at bat on a 3-2 pitch. You wonder if he'll throw it here 2-0.
Cora and Neese, the base runners. It's only the second 2-0 count of the night for Randy Wells. Next, to that low pitch count for Wells. 2-to-1 strike to ball ratio. Larry Rothschild, veteran pitching coach, pleased with what he has in Wells. 3-0 now to Pagan. And he takes one. Low, ball 4, and the bases are loaded. First walk of the night for Wells, and it comes on 4 pitches to Pagan. So the Cubs have the bases loaded in the top of the inning. Now the Mets with the bases loaded here in the bottom of the 5th. And Rothschild with a visit to the mound.
Well, he's got a much more difficult out. He's a tough strikeout in Castillo here, and the guy that hits the ball to left field, where Soriano doesn't cover a lot of ground. You can see, you can get a shot of the outfield defense real quick. You can take a look at where Soriano is going to be playing. And that's just to me, that's too far over. We got too much gap in here for Louis.
So the Mets looking to cash an opportunity. Wells retired the first 2 in the inning, but Cora had a base hit. Neese bounced one through the hole. Pagan walked, and now Castillo up with the bases loaded. And Louis takes ball 1.
All of a sudden, Mr. Wells is having trouble throwing strikes. Now, if you're a real disciplined hitter right here, he's just walked a guy on 4 pitches. Boy, you're looking for a fastball and just swinging a strike.
He's got to throw a strike here. Can't go to 2-0.
See, bases loaded has not been a great spot for the Mets last year or this, but Wells has now missed with 6 in a row.
Start trying to guide that ball, aim it to the plate instead of letting it go.
So a great spot here for Castillo, but last year we saw him take 2-0 pitches down the middle all year. And taking all the way here, strike 2 and 1.
Well, that was his, Louis likes that ball down out over the plate. He just can slash it right into left field.
I don't know why you wouldn't give yourself a chance at least on 2-0. Bounced over the mound toward the middle. Behind the back, Turner has no play, and the Mets take the lead. An infield hit for Castillo, and it's 1-0 New York.
They got full fastball, center, good pitch, right up the middle. And they just can't get to it. They both go for it. There's no chance to throw Luis out.
Nice job by Chip Hale here, because the pitcher might get a little fancy and want to take that big turn. He made sure he got Jonathan back to the bag.
Ontario was looking that way. So now David Wright bats with the bases loaded. A run is home. The Mets have grabbed the lead here in the 5th. And David wails at a slider, 0-1.
All this with 2 outs.
And the 8 and 9 hitters getting it started. Cora and Nice. Nice now at third, Pagan at second, and Castillo, with his 4th run batted into the year, is on at first. And Wright swinging another slider, and it's 0-2.
Boy, David just pulling off.
David is 1 for 2 tonight. Roped a base hit to left his last time up, and now has to fight out of an 0-2 hole. Mets now with 6 hits in the game, 3 of them in this inning. David, like everybody else on the club, struggling with runners in scoring position this year. 3 home runs, 6 runs batted in for David. Keeping his spirits up. And he strikes him out to end the inning. So Wells fans right to limit the damage. But the Mets grab the lead. Wells upset with himself. Castillo's infield hit gives the Mets a 1-0 lead. Your sports stories of the day on the next Loudmouths, presented by Geico, weekdays at 6 p.m. only on SNY. Well, let's answer our AT&T trivia question. Who was the Mets' first pick with the first overall pick in '66? That would be the immortal Steve Chilcott, out of Antelope Valley High School in Lancaster, California. Steve Chilcott is one of only 2 #1 draft picks since the draft began in 1965 not to make it to the major leagues. Wow. Alfonso Soriano takes ball 1. The other one, Yankee left-hand pitcher.
Oh, the tall Brian?
Brian Taylor.
There we go.
Of course, he was hurt in a fight that kept him out of the big league. Soriano pops one up into shallow right. Out goes Castillo to call. And Soriano retired for the first time tonight.
Lancaster, that's east of Los Angeles. Lancaster Air Force Base. Smoking there in the summer.
Whoa. Here are the other players whom the Mets have taken with the #1 overall pick. They're kind of 1 for 5. Steve Chilcott in '66. Okay. In '68, Tim Foley, who had he had a major league career. 1980, Darryl Strawberry.
That worked.
That was good. 1984, Sean Abner.
Not so much.
Not so good. And 1994, although I love him to death, and he worked his hardest to get back. Never really had the career they envisioned for him. Paul Wilson.
Oh, yeah. I like Paul. Paul's a hard worker.
Yep.
Just hurt his arm, man. That's what happens.
2-0 to Soto, and it rides inside, and he's behind 3-0.
Wilson had a great changeup, didn't he? I mean, he had, he was throwing 95, 96 when he first came up, but developed a very good changeup when he pitched. I think it's Cincinnati.
The Reds, yeah.
Yes.
A nice reclamation year there. And Soto takes a strike, 3-1. Of course, it was 1995-96 when the Mets unveiled Generation K with Paul Wilson and Bill Pulsipher and Jason Isringhausen. Ball 4, and Soto's on with a walk. Third given up by Neese tonight. So the tying run aboard with 1 out. Let's check in with the studio. Chris Carlin standing by with the New York State Smokers Quit Line game break. All right, Chris. No-hitter for the Rockies tonight. Ryan Theriot takes high for ball 1. How about Ubaldo Jimenez?
I just love watching him pitch, and it was nice to see the manager, Jim Tracy, say, you know what? I'm going to let you out there. I'm not going to take you out because you have too many pitches. I think he got to 128, didn't he, as Fernando?
He did. Well, he was throwing 98 miles an hour in the 9th inning.
Well, he hit 100, I think, 4 or 5 times during the game, but he walked 6 in the first 5 innings. Then after that, completely settled down and was a strike machine.
Well, Tracy managed very much that way in the 3-game series in Colorado. He stays with his starters.
What a concept.
Ryan Theriot takes the cutter for a strike. So the Rockies, who began play in 1993, are now off the list of teams that don't have a no-hitter.
So there's 3 left, right?
Yep. And the Mets, of the 3, have been around the longest.
Cubs, swinging and missing.
Fastball up and out of the strike zone.
It's like a lifeless club. And they got a manager full of fire in Lou Piniella.
It's interesting, Keith. We always talk about how many the dearth of swing and misses. It'll be high here for Jonathan Neese in this ball game.
1-2 to Theriot. He struck him out. Number 7 for Neese. That matches his career high.
Fastball, cutter, right down the pipe. Swung right through it.
It's a pretty big swing, isn't it, Keith?
Yep.
On 2 strikes.
Yes, sir. Not much of a take back.
So now the pitcher, Randy Wells, will come up for the 3rd time. Wells had a base hit to lead off the 5th inning for the Cubs. Wound up being stranded at 3rd.
Guys, you were talking about that Jimenez no-hitter. Even more interesting, after he had those 6 walks, Bob Apodaca told him to work from the stretch. So the last 3 innings of that game, he worked from the stretch, didn't have any walks, and as you said, Gary, was hitting 98 in the 9th from the stretch. Not bad.
The irony of that is that the first no-hitter thrown at Coors Field against the Rockies was thrown by Hideo Nomo, who pitched the entire game out of the stretch because it had rained that day and the footing was so bad on the mound.
Yeah, the conditions were bad, so just trying to shorten up.
Now Neese ahead on Wells, 1-2. Trying to finish the 6th inning now at 110 pitches for the night.
Guess we should give you the other 2, Mets, Padres, and Rays. Are the 3 organizations that haven't thrown a no-hitter yet.
Of course, a Padre had a no-hitter through 8, and his manager took him out. That was Clay Kirby.
Preston Gomez.
Yep. Oh, and that curveball just missed, 2-2. That was against the Mets in 1970. He was down in the game by a run, so Preston Gomez took him out for a pinch hitter.
Preston was I believe he just passed away, and Preston was very wonderful with me early in my career.
Bounce to the left side. White can't get it. Cora does and makes the throw on a hop. Davis can't handle it. Heading for 3rd now is Soto, and he arrives there safely, and the Cubs have runners in the corners. Now, Cora figured he'd try it with the pitcher running, but Davis just couldn't handle the hop.
Well, he had him if the throw is picked by Davis. David can't make the play. He's out. He got him.
It's kind of an in-between hop there, but this ball gets by David. off his glove, in fact. Plays the carom by Alex Cora. And he put a lot of air under that throw.
Well, that's going to be all for Jonathan Neese. That was his one chance to get through the sixth, but with the pitch count up to 113, he'll leave. Fernando Nieve comes on. This call to the bullpen is brought to you by Lincoln Mercury. Nieve brought in to protect a 1-0 lead in the sixth. Well, Jonathan Neese will look on now and see whether Fernando Nieve can keep him the lead here in the sixth inning. That last play scored an infield single for Wells and an error on Cora, moving Soto over to third, and here's Nieve.
Well, it was kind of a tale of a couple of appearances for Nieve in St. Louis. Had a tough one on Friday night and then rebounded on Saturday.
Went 2 1/3 in the game on Saturday, came on in the 10th and worked through a jam in the 10th and again in the 12th. Marlon Byrd, first pitch swinging, fouls off Nieve's first offering. Byrd is already 2 for 3 in this game, 2 singles to center field.
Marlon Byrd is a down hitter. He's a really good breaking ball hitter. One way to get him out is to pitch him in. Hard stuff in.
He had a slider to hit right there.
Did he?
A flat slider, just helicoptering right out there, hovering.
Going back with it.
Fastball low and in, 1-1. The only time Bird's been retired today was leading off the game when he sent Frank Cora back on the warning track in front of the bullpen in right center. So he has swung the bat very well tonight.
Rojas does a nice job of hiding those signs, doesn't he?
Fastball away.
On 1-1, Bird hits one up the middle. It caroms off Nieve. Castillo makes the quick toss, not in time, and the game is tied. An infield single for Marlon Byrd, his third hit of the night, and the error by Cora proves costly as the Cubs have tied the game at 1.
Well, this ball's hit hard. I'd like to see if it was going to be a base hit here. It would have been caught by Castillo. You can never tell. Pitchers are reacting, and that's just a tough break. That ball was hit hard. It was a fastball away, had too much plate.
Now the concern is for Nieve, who got hit apparently in the foot by that ball.
Yeah, got him on the outside of the foot. Looks like he's all right. I personally would always wanted the trainers to kind of stay on the bench unless I called them out, because you just feel you feel bad enough that you just gave up a hit. You feel even worse because the guy just hit one through the box.
There's your IOTV pitch differential.
There's the difference right there.
Isanori Takahashi up in the Mets bullpen. So Jonathan Neese now cannot win, but he's also responsible for the runner at second base, so he could conceivably lose. as Jeff Baker steps in with 2 out and 2 on. 9 hits now for the Cubs, and Bird has 3 of them. And Baker takes low and away for ball 1. Baker singled to right back in the first inning. Since then, has grounded into a double play and hit into a fielder's choice. Breaking ball pulled foul. It's been a heavily worked early part of the season for Fernando Nieve, a guy who's been a starting pitcher for the bulk of his career. So far, he's been available every day, but it's only the start of the 3rd week of the season. Wells and Bird, the base runners, with 2 out. And a tapper right back to Nieve. And he gets Baker to end the inning, but an unearned run for the Cubs as they tie it up. Mets come up in the bottom of the 6th with Jason Bay to lead off. Jason Bay will lead off for the Mets in the bottom of the 6th in a 1-1 ball game. Mets got a run in the bottom of the 5th on an infield single by Luis Castillo. And the Cubs tied the game in the top of the 6th on an infield single by Marlon Byrd. So symmetry as we go to the bottom of the 6th. 2 teams struggling to score runs right now. And while Jonathan Neese has exited after a high pitch count, Randy Wells has only thrown 77 pitches through his 5 innings.
Put a couple on. Let Ike Davis be the hero on his first night. Why not?
Bay is 1 for 2. And a base hit his first time up, and then went down looking at a fastball. Struck out on 3 pitches in the 4th inning. The 19th strikeout for Bay in his first 48 at bats. 1-1 to Jason with Francoeur and Davis to follow. One from Wells, and he misses inside. Keith, does the pressure on Bay intensify with every at bat where he doesn't get that first home run?
I sense his frustration. You see some of his swings where he's fouled back some balls he should hit, and I do, he's one of those guys that's very soft-spoken and quiet, does not reveal. I just see a little bit of frustration, and I don't think he's putting pressure on himself, but certainly you're in a new team, and their pressure goes along with that. Trying to, when I got traded over here, at 83, it didn't really matter. The team was out in last place. But starting in 84, Gary, I felt the pressure early to get off to a good start, and I didn't. the first week I did not play well, and I caught fire. I had a good. We went to Cincinnati. I didn't do well. Played a 3-game series in Houston in the Dome. I remember going, oh my gosh, I don't like hitting in the Dome. First 2 games in the Dome, I didn't hit well, but I made great plays in the field the entire road trip. Saved a couple games. Particularly one for Walt Terrell. And then the last game in Houston, I had a good game, and I came home confident, and I got going. And I had one of my best years of my career in '84.
I think the pressure increases only because Mets have got off to a slow start. They're not hitting well with runners in scoring position, and they're not hitting with power.
Of course, his old team's not doing too well either.
I watched them yesterday.
Wow. They're 4-9 after losing today. 3-2 to Bay. And the breaking ball misses ball 4, and so Bay's aboard with the leadoff walk. And the Mets have the go-ahead run aboard. Let's check in with Kirk Jimenez, who lets us know what's coming up tonight on Geico Sports Night.
And on the show, Jonathan Neeson prospect Ike Davis looks to jumpstart the Mets homestand. We're going to have more reaction and the latest from the Jets and Giants with the draft just days away. Geico Sports Night tonight after Lincoln Mercury postgame live. Guys, back to you.
All right, thanks, Kirk. Now, Jeff Francoeur bats with the go-ahead run at first. Jeff is 0 for 2 tonight and 0 for his last 12 now. He's popped to short and flied out to right. Nice to get a nice cushion early where he can go 0 for 12 and still be hitting 340. We have not seen a whole lot of running from Bay, but he's capable of doing that. At 13 steals last year, and maybe this would be a good time for it. Take a look across at Chip Hale to see what might be on here. Francoeur grounds one toward the hole. Theriot getting in front of it, bounces the throw, and it's picked out by Baker, and they get the force play. Dangerous throw by Theriot.
Well, Theriot does the right thing here and gets in front. Now he kind of has the ball in his palm, gives Baker a short hop.
You know what Baker did nice here, Keith, is that he made like a first baseman, didn't even think about turning that play, just made sure he came off the bag a little bit, shortened that short hop.
So 1 out and 1 on, and now a chance for Ike Davis with the go-ahead run at first. Ike is 1 for 2 in his big league debut. Single to right in the second, fly to left in the 5th. So he's already got that first hit out of the way. Now he drives one in the air to right center field. Chasing back toward the gap is Meady. He'll get there and make the play for the second out.
Well, you're going to find out that's a deep part of the ballpark. I think he got towards the end of the bat a little bit. I think he got a little extended. The fans reacted to that, but watch this ball fade. It'll sink. Actually, it stayed pretty straight. A little bit towards the end. A little bit out in front. The ball should have been to left center field.
Might have been good enough with the wind blowing out in Port St. Lucie.
Yes.
Hit a couple of those this spring.
No, but they hit it that deep off the end of the bat. Shows some real power.
So 2 away. Davis now 1 for 3, and here's Barajas, who's grounded into a double play and struck out 0 for 2. The Cubs have 9 hits. The Mets have 6. Bay still at first after the leadoff walk. And it's off the plate to Barajas, 1-0. A little debriefing with Howard Johnson after that at bat. Well, we talked about having a homegrown prospect make his major league debut. Here are a couple of recent homegrown prospects and what they did in their debuts. Reyes' only game as a 19-year-old. He turned 20 the next day.
Wow.
That was in Texas. And David Wright made his debut against the Expos in 04.
Boy, Barajas just takes a swing and falls over the plate. Just lets it wails at the ball. All right, Gary, who's that? It's one of 3 lefties.
It's a lefty.
You all got 42.
I know it's not Marshall because he's the tall one. Is it Graybo?
Could be Graybo, and it could be
Russell. James Russell.
We'll let you know before they come in. Barajas badly fooled on the breaking ball, and it's 2-2.
We told you a little bit about this, Randy Wells, even though he's a young pitcher, Sikora on deck, or as far as young as innings are, he really has an idea of what he's doing. Mixing up his pitches. You never see the same pitch twice very often with Mr. Wells.
Henry Mejia up in the Mets bullpen. We know him. 2-2. And Barajas lays off a full count. Barajas has not drawn a walk this year. He's had very few 3-ball counts. Belleville's drafted as a catcher. Spent a year catching in the minor leagues. Then was asked to pitch in a mop-up game and looked so good they turned him into a pitcher.
Where's that, over the Missouri line?
If he's from Belleville, he grew up a Cardinal fan. He had to. That's Cardinal country. That's southern Illinois.
Day runs 3-2. Barajas swings and misses, and the inning is over. So Randy Wells has his 5th strikeout, and the Mets waste a leadoff walk. 6 in the books at Citi Field, still tied at 1. Days after the 63rd anniversary of Jackie Robinson's immortal debut with the Brooklyn Dodgers on April 15th, 1947. Rookie of the Year, Hall of Famer, and every player on both teams again wearing number 42 tonight as Derek Lee pops the first pitch up from Fernando Nieve. Ike Davis retreating to make the grab. One pitch and one retired in the 7th inning. Look at that year he had in 1949. Wow. 342, 85 RBIs, batting cleanup first and second, no? Did he bat cleanup that year?
49? No, I'm sorry. Lead off. Yeah. No, he didn't bat cleanup. Shoot, what am I thinking?
That's an amazing year.
Stole home 19 times.
Wow. We started a trend with that. You know, there were a lot of people stealing home back in those days.
North since.
That's right.
Nady is 1 for 3. I mean, I'm trying to think in 22 years watching games from the broadcast booth, how many straight steals of home I've seen? I think it's one. Roger Cedeno at Yankee Stadium. Nady lofts one out to left field for Jason Bay, and that's the second out. And Randy Wells not looking like a happy camper between innings, which is surprising considering how well he's pitched tonight.
I don't think he should be too hard on himself or too frustrated. Might be angry because they're taking him out of the ballgame.
That's what it is. Yeah. He wants to stay in. Come on.
I'm not sure why they're taking him out of the ballgame. He's thrown only 93 pitches.
Hope not.
And the Mets have 8, 9, and 1 coming up in the next inning. Here's Aramis Ramirez with 2 out. And Nieve fires inside. Nieve gave up the infield single off his foot to Marlon Byrd, the first man he faced, allowing an unearned run to score. He's now retired the next 3. In relief of Jonathan Neese, who did not allow an earned run in 5 2/3. He'll get a no decision tonight. 1-1 to Ramirez. But a very impressive performance by Neese. Again, he gave up 8 hits, but struck out 7, which tied his career high. Walked 3.
I like the way he's battling out there. You know, he's throwing strikes. Okay, he's giving up some hits, but he's really impressed me with the way he kind of bears down when he has runners on base and came up with some big pitches.
Fastball hit in the air to center, and Pagan has it lined up. And so Fernando Nieve throws a 1-2-3 top of the 7th. Stretch time at Citi Field. Mets and Cubs all tied. Be sure to check out SNY.TV for video and blogs and all sorts of good stuff. All things New York sports on SNY.TV. Changes for the Cubs as we go to the bottom of the 7th. Tyler Colvin has come in to play right field. He will bat 9th, and on to pitch is James Russell. He'll go in the cleanup spot as Nady comes out.
Well, he's been perfect in his last couple of innings as Lou's just trying to roll the dice to see who can catch the hot hand. 5 games so far early in this season for the young left-hander.
The Cubs have a couple of players on the disabled list who should be back fairly soon, including Ted Lilly, who's going to start for them on Saturday, and Russell could be a victim of that. Jose Reyes is going to pinch hit for the Mets. As we go to the bottom of the 7th, Reyes, who asked for the day off today, he's gone hitless in his last 17 at-bats. But he'll come up here to bat for Alex Cora, leading off in the bottom of the 7th.
Well, this is a feel-old moment for me. Mr. Russell here, you guys would know his father, Jeff Russell, who pitched for the Reds and Athletics,
Texas.
Former teammate of mine.
Jeff Russell threw hard. He had a hard fastball.
So here's Reyes, who swings and misses the first pitch fastball from Russell.
Looks like the son throws pretty hard, too. Do it right by Jose.
And another fastball thrown by him, and it's 0-2. Well, if you're going to be the dad of a big league pitcher, you want to encourage him to be left-handed.
That's right.
Now Reyes in an 0-2 hole. And he got hit by the pitch. And so Reyes gets aboard in uncomfortable fashion. So the Mets have a leadoff base runner in a tie game as Russell got ahead 0-2 and then drilled Reyes. And now Gary Matthews Jr. will come up as a pinch hitter for Fernando Nieve. Well, let's see how the Mets play this year with Matthews.
Oh, there's another fastball in. Yep, got his forearm.
Beautiful.
Yeah, just might have missed that forearm. Got his shirt where it was bloused out.
Well, Gary Matthews is the last Met to pick up an extra base hit in the 9th inning on Friday. And now he bats here as a pinch hitter as Igarashi gets up in the Mets bullpen to come on in the 8th inning. Mets trying to grab a lead here in the 7th. So let's see how the Mets play it here with Matthews. Now, Reyes has not been running well, and it would be surprising, I think, to see Jose try to steal a base here.
Well, I think the Mets have tipped their hand almost 90% of the time. They bunt in this situation. I'm sure they'll bunt Reyes over or attempt to.
His only stolen base was one where he was given third base in Colorado.
Well, he hasn't got the explosiveness. We saw that, Gary, in Colorado.
Well, let me ask you this. I mean, he's been back for a week, and you can understand how he'd be rusty in the field and at the plate, but does the lack of running explosiveness concern you guys?
I just think that I'm more concerned with the at-bats than I am the running. I mean, he should get his leg strength back. He's not like he's 35 years old.
But, I mean, we had video of him working out of the gym and running full speed back in February, but he's not running full speed now. I asked both Omar and Jerry about that today, and neither one expressed any concern at all. But to me, Reyes' game is all about his legs. And if there's nothing wrong with his hamstring, you wonder why he's not running 100%.
I was talking to you about it today, Gary. The more tools you have, the more tools you need to come back. You know, if you're a big lumbering kind of power hitter, you really have to just worry about your stroke. But, you know, he's got the speed on offense, on defense, ability to bunt the ball. Not Larry Rothschild, but Jose Reyes.
The throwing as well, which has been off.
Yep.
1-0 to Matthews. And he squares. And it's 2-0. So what do you do here?
But it was interesting to see Chip Hale. Whenever you see a coach rub his chest, that wipes. It's supposed to wipe the original sign off and go to a new sign.
Usually on the bunt sign, Gary, the bunt stays on until it's taken off.
Two and one to count.
Manager's flashing sign, trying to beat. Is it a hit and run? Did he stay with the bunt? Did he take it off? And the Cubs feel like they're going to bunt, but not quite so sure at third base, Aramis Ramirez. Not aggressively in.
Not a big lead for Reyes, and easily getting back on these pickoff tries.
I think it's hard to hit and run against Russell. He's already proven that he can be wild at times. Hitting Reyes, going 2-0 against Matthews. The situation he's supposed to throw a strike, but will he?
Getting a short lead for Jose. And it's a strike on the outside corner, and now it's 2-2 to Matthews. The other problem with hitting and running is that Matthews has been swinging and missing so much. 11 strikeouts in 25 at bats this year. Now you figure he's got to be swinging on 2-2. With Angel Pagan on deck. 1-1 game in the 7th. And Matthews bounces one foul.
It's the first breaking ball we've seen from Mr. Russell.
The Mets are hoping to get to a 3-2 count here and send they can cut loose Reyes.
Ryota Igarashi, who gave up the go-ahead home run to Ryan Ludwig last night in St. Louis. looking to get back out of the mound tonight. 2-2. Matthews swings and misses at the fastball, and Russell has the first out of the 7th. So after falling behind 2-0, Russell comes back to strike out Matthews.
The fastball just right by Gary. Four-seamer. This young man has a good arm.
So 1 out and 1 on, and now Angel Pagan. Angel will turn around about right-handed. He went 0 for 2 with a walk, swinging left-handed against Randy Wells. Russell keeps throwing over, even though Reyes is not getting much of a lead at all.
Well, you can't just take it for granted. I mean, it looks like Reyes is not going to steal, but he might sneak one. I'd like to see Jose just get a bigger lead and at least put some pressure on, like I'm going to steal.
Pagan takes the off-speed pitch for a strike.
Looked like Reyes was thinking about going there, but didn't have a real good read on the young left-hander's move, who he's probably not seen.
There's a good lead.
Be an extra half step this time, and Pagan hits one to left center field, hit well. Back goes Berg to the track, looking up, and it's out! Angel Pagan with his first home run of the year, a 2-run shot, and he's given the Mets a 3-1 lead in the bottom of the 7th. Well, the Mets have not had an extra base hit since the 9th inning on Friday night. And Pagan breaks the drought.
He must feel good about this one. Fastball in, and he turns on it. He's got power from both sides of the plate. And he beats his old mates here.
Well, the Mets have gone 116 at-bats between extra base hits before Pagan parks his first home run of the season.
You know, coming off the last season, Pagan probably thought he was going to be the #1 center fielder in a platoon to start the season. Did not say a word. He just let his play talk for him. And the bullpen woes for the Cubs continue.
Now, Pagan's been the hottest hitter for the Mets over the last 4 or 5 days. And he gives them a boost now with a 3-1 lead. Castillo hits a line drive to left, but right at Soriano, who doesn't have to move for the second out.
Well, sometimes on this IOTV pitch differential, you hit your spot, but these hitters are pretty good too.
Well, look at the barrel of the bat's already out in front of the plate. The hips fly open. He's right on it. It was not fooled at all.
You know what happens too, Keith, and I know you've done this to many a pitcher. Every once in a while, you look in first pitch and you get it.
Well, Lou Piniella is not going to let his lefty face David Wright, and so he'll make a pitching change here. The Mets have grabbed the lead here in the 7th on Angel Pagan's 2-run homer. Pitching change coming for the Cubs. Mets up 3-1 in the 7th.
Samardzija.
This game on Sports Radio 66 WFAN. Tonight, the beginning of a 10-game homestand, 4 with the Cubs, 3 with the Braves, and 3 with the Dodgers before the Mets head to Philly for their first meeting with the defending National League champions. David Wright takes a strike from Jeff Samardzija.
Well, everything in football at Notre Dame. He throws awfully hard, but you saw at that first pitch trying to teach him a little two-seamer.
Wright is 1 for 3 tonight. Oh, the breaking ball foul back.
That is a hanger right there. And you can see one's the winner, the other one's the loser.
Well, Angel Pagan has hit 7 home runs the last 2 seasons, 6 here at Citi Field, as David Wright got a piece from Jeff Nelson. So don't tell Angel this isn't a hitter's park. 1-2 to Wright, and bounces in. So after Randy Wells went 6 innings and allowed 1 run and 6 hits and seemed rather annoyed at being pulled after 93 pitches, James Russell came on, pitched 2/3 of an inning, gave up the 2-run homer to Pagan, and now the Mets have the lead. 3-2 now to Wright.
And this guy in his heyday when he first came up was throwing 97, 98 miles an hour. That's 4 of the 5 pitches breaking balls.
And the fastball misses, ball 4, and David's on with a walk. Walk number 18 for David Wright, who leads the major leagues. And Jason Bay will come up with a man on.
Good time for David to try to steal one.
Bay tonight, 1 for 2 and a walk, single back in the 2nd inning. David has 4 stolen bases this year in 5 tries. Samardzija not very adept at holding runners.
He's got that big motion. This might be one of those times that Jason Bay, after the walk to right, Samardzija might be trying to get ahead of him, try to jump on that first pitch fastball.
But he throws him a breaking ball in for a strike.
Igarashi is ready. Pacing around like a lion in a cage.
His intensity has been something to behold these last few outings.
You are correct.
The guy they called Rocket Boy in Japan. And he's always moving, even when he's getting ready to pitch. Not quite a Mike Gonzalez rock, but he's got that whirling intensity as he gets himself ready to pitch. There goes Wright. Bay takes a high curveball, and Soto's throw, not in time. And Wright has his 5th stolen base of the year.
Well, just a good jump by David. Good pitch to throw, but not a chance.
So a runner in scoring position for Bay, who drives one to left field. Soriano got turned around, and it's going to go off the wall. Wright scores, Bay to second, and he arrives with a stand-up double and a run batted in. It's 4-1 New York. Jason Bay's 2nd double and his 3rd run batted in. And the Mets have scored 3 times here in the 7th.
Well, Samardzija is so fastball right down the pipe, and Bay is a good belt-high up hitter. Watch the top hand come over the top. It's almost like a hockey swing to a degree. He really gets that top hand. And Soriano, boy, oh boy. Got to hit it to the opposite field. Pitch him away. Play him away.
Hit sharply down to 3rd. Ramirez plays it off his chest and has no play. And Frank Torres aboard. And so the inning continues.
In front, oh boy, bad hop. Got him off the thumb.
They're going to charge him with an error.
That's a tough error. I mean, that ball was blistered.
That's got to be an error.
Yeah, that puts it right in the breadbasket.
And that's going to be it.
So Lou Piniella's out again to make another pitching change. Mets have 3 home in the 7th and looking for more, leading 4-1. terrific performance Saturday against Pasquale Zolani. This is Sean Marshall coming on to pitch here in the 7th.
Well, see, his numbers have been great. They wanted him always to be a starter. Started 59 games, but has been much better out of the bullpen.
Ike Davis for his 4th big league at bat and takes the breaking ball low and away. Davis singled his first time up. Since then has flied out twice. May is at 3rd. Francoeur at 1st with 2 down. The Mets have 3 runs home here in the 7th. And after going 116 at bats as a team without an extra base hit, they've had 2 of them here in the 7th inning. The home run by Pagan and the double by Bay. Now with his first at bat against a lefty, Davis bails out of the curveball, but this was his first at bat.
And he got it out of the way quickly, didn't he? He broke his bat, splintered, but he kept his hands back nicely. Always touched the ball.
Lost the bat, but gained a ball. Now Marshall's 1-1, and that curveball sends him bailing again, but it missed inside 2-1.
Well, Marshall has about as big a curveball you're going to see from a left-hander. 3 straight to Ike Davis.
So a pretty good test for Ike. Marshall, who has started and relieved for the Cubs in his 5th season with them. Hit up the middle and passed quickly in the center field, a base hit. Ike Davis has his first big league RBI as he brings home Bay. Francoeur goes to 3rd, and it's 5-1 New York.
Nicely done, young man. Fastball, like a little on the side of the ball, a little cutter. Yep, keeps his hands back. Too much plate.
Well, he's got great plate coverage, doesn't he, Keith?
Yes, he does. A little out in front. You can see he's uncomfortable there. He's still got to settle in. But, geez, 2 for 3. Nicely, an RBI.
Now the Mets taking advantage of a shaky Cubs bullpen. Sean Marshall had been one of their best, but Davis greets him with a base hit. So the Mets with 4 runs in the inning against 3 Cubs relievers. First Russell, then Samardzija, and now Marshall. And Rod Barajas will be the 9th man up in the inning with 1st and 3rd and 2 out. Barajas 0 for 3 tonight. And he fouls off the first pitch fastball. Igarashi staying up, and Henry Mejia is going to join him now. Mejia was up earlier. One and 1 to Barajas. Jose Reyes, who began this inning as a pinch hitter and was hit by a pitch, is now back on deck. And Lou Pinella's got even more action going. Gets away from 3rd base comes Francoeur, and he scores, and it's 6-1. And the Cubs have fallen apart here in the 7th. And the Mets happy to take full advantage.
Wild pitch. Now curve in the dirt. Well, you're seeing now why the Cubs bullpen, the numbers don't lie.
No, it fooled Barajas, but it fooled Soto even more. So the wild pitch brings home the 5th run of the inning. Runner in scoring position for Barajas, and the breaking ball pulled foul. So the Mets bats breaking out, and helped out by some shoddy play by the Cubs. The Mets have put together their biggest inning of the season so far. They had a 4-run inning against Florida in the first game of the season, and now they've put up a 5 spot here in the 7th inning tonight. 1-2 from Marshall, and Barajas grounds one past the mound. Theriot in front of it, and that'll do it for the Mets. But 9 men came to bat, and the Mets score 5. The big blow, a 2-run shot off the bat of Angel Pagan, his first home run of the year, to break a 1-1 tie. And now the Mets take a 6-1 lead into the 8th. Changes for the Mets as we go to the 8th. Jose Reyes, who pinch hit, stays in the game at shortstop. Gary Matthews Jr., who pinch hit, stays in right field, so he's batting 9th. Henry Mejia on to pitch. He'll bat 5th as Jeff Francoeur came out.
You see the numbers so far on Henry. Had that tough loss, of course, in Colorado, but showed a lot of spunk out there for being 20 years old.
Through a couple of scoreless innings Saturday night in the 20-inning game. Well, Ike Davis has had himself a nice big league debut. Couple of hits and an RBI. It's always a special buzz when a new player comes up, especially one who's homegrown and is a highly touted player. And it's a little different from other sports because in football and basketball, there's no minor leagues. Guys go straight from college to the pros, and so you don't have these mid-season additions where a guy's created this kind of a buzz. It's kind of a thing that's special to baseball.
Well, yes, and there's no guarantees in baseball of a top draft pick making it. I think there's a failure rate that's far greater than any other sport where a #1 draft pick in football to college usually pans out, or in basketball. Baseball, it's uncertain, and I think that adds to the buzz, the anticipation.
So you're saying that football and basketball players are more known quantities?
Yes. There's more chance of failure for high picks in baseball than any other sport.
Soriano went around, and it's 0-2.
In this eve of the NFL draft, when you're drafting players, you expect them to get that #1 pick because you've been a bad team. You're going to get a quarterback, hopefully, that will start for your team that next season. That doesn't happen. You usually have to go to the minor leagues for a couple of years. Sometimes you get lost down there.
You got to pay your dues.
Yes, you do have to pay your dues.
Baseball.
Less now in the sense that guys are rushed a little quicker than they were in the day, but still.
And they're drafting more out of college now, too.
And I think Omar made that point, is that you have, like Davis said, he's coming up maybe a little earlier than they thought.
Soriano rolls over the breaking ball, and Wright throws him out, run away.
They were thinking of him having 1 full year in AAA. But remember, he played for an outstanding program at ASU. He's a guy, we talked about it before, his dad was a big leaguer, and a fine big leaguer, and he was around that kind of element. He played on the World Cup team.
He was taking batting practice off Goose Gossage when he was 14. That'll get you ready.
That's scary right now.
Here's Giovanni Soto, who has scored the only Cubs run tonight after reaching on a walk in the 6th, an unearned run. So the Mets, who have gotten very good pitching over the last 4 or 5 days, have gotten it again tonight. Nice and Nieve and now Mejia working in the 8th have allowed no earned runs. Ryan Theriot, the on-deck batter.
What's interesting, Keith, watching Mejia is that he's got that natural cut on his fastball. The best team against him, other than the home run in Colorado by Iannetta, was the Marlins, who tried to shoot him to right field. They saw a lot of him in spring training. It'd be interesting to see how he counters with something inside as he goes along.
And the Marlins said in the paper that they took advantage of the amount of times they faced him, and so they had an idea of what he had. And their approach was the opposite field. They heard him. They hit him hard to right field that game.
3-0 to Soto. And he takes a strike. And it's low ball 4, and so Soto's on with a walk. So a 1-out base runner for the Cubs against Mejia. Let's join Chris Carlin in the studio. He's standing by with the New York State Smokers Quit Line game break. Blue Jays have lost 3 straight after getting off to a great start. Here's Theriot with 1 out and 1 on. Intentionally walked his first time up, has struck out twice since. And takes a strike from Mejia. Pedro Feliciano up in the Mets bullpen. Pedro faced just 1 batter last night and wished he had faced 2. 1-1 to Theriot, who was hitting leadoff until tonight for the Cubs. Dropped to the number 8 spot in the order as Luke Piniella looked to shake things up. But although the man he moved into the leadoff spot, Marlon Byrds, had a good night with 3 hits, the Cubs have lacked the big hit all night. And now in a 6-1 hole. Might be a double play ball, not hit hard, but Castillo with the tag and the toss. Side retired. What was Soto thinking? You got to run the second baseman there, don't you? You got any more? 4-4-3 on the double play gets Mejia through the inning, 6-1.
The Yankees traded for Matt Lawton in 2008. Just 11 appearances last year with the Cubbies.
Tonight after the post game and at 1 a.m., catch the only New York sports news and highlights show in town. We'll have everything about Ike Davis's first day in the major leagues, get you ready for the NFL draft, and a little retrospective on Brandon Marshall's travels tonight after the post game and at 1 a.m. right here on SNY. Jose Reyes led off the 7th as a pinch hitter. Was hit by a pitch which sparked a 5-run inning. Now he leads off in the bottom of the 8th. Gary Matthews on deck, and then Angel Pagan against Justin Berg as Reyes pops one up into shallow right center. On comes Bird to call. 1 away. So Reyes now 0 for his last 18. And here's Matthews, who struck out in a pinch hitting appearance in the 7th. That scored 5 runs on only 3 hits in the 7th inning. Helped out by a hit batsman, a walk, an error, a wild pitch. Baker handles the hop. 2 out. So now Pagan, who has the biggest hit in this game. With the game tied in the 7th inning, he came up with a man on against the lefty James Russell. And parked one of the seats in left center for his first home run of the season.
Well, Angel, I'll tell you what, he swings the bat from both sides of the plate. Got equal power from both sides of the plate. He showed the hustle earlier in the game.
Well, he's hit one right-handed. Now gets a shot from the left side. And takes low from Bird.
Well, fastball in, a pretty hard thrower, and Russell, he turns right on it.
You know, Keith, the proof's right there. You don't have to have that big long swing to hit the ball out of the ballpark.
No, you don't. It's just short swings, they go hit the ball further.
And the balls that I hit the furthest were the balls I thought that were by me, and my hands just reacted, and I didn't know how I hit it. I said I thought the ball was by me, but you never got to trust your hands. Yep. Then your wrists work on the snap.
Luis Castillo on deck. Well, it hasn't taken very long, but Pagan has taken over this center field job all for himself. And with Carlos Beltran's return nowhere on the horizon, it should be his for a good long time. Now Berg ahead 1-2. And Pagan moves his feet. The Cubs starter Randy Wells did his job tonight. 6 innings, 1 run, 6 hits. But the bullpen not so much. James Russell 2/3 of an inning, 2 runs, 1 hit. Jeff Samardzin, no innings, 3 runs, 1 earned, 1 hit. Sean Marshall, 1/3 of an inning, 1 hit. Pagan stays alive, and we've seen him do that a lot this year. Foul off the tough pitch to keeping it back going.
Well, I think he does a nice job of shortening up with 2 strikes that you don't always see. So we've seen some of the bats tonight, especially in some crucial situations early where big swings, not really changing your swing with 2 strikes, and Angel certainly does that.
And Pagan floats one foul.
The Cubs had their chances in the middle of this ball game. They had men on base, and of course, of the 4th to the 6th inning, they left 7 men on base and only scored 1 run.
Both the 4th and 5th innings, they had a runner at 3rd with less than 2 out and didn't score. Cubs have left 10 runners on base tonight. 2-2 to Pagan. And he pops one up, shallow left. Soriano coming on, and he gets there to make the grab. A 1-2-3 inning for Justin Berg. So we go to the 9th. Last looks for the Cubs, 6-1 New York. SNY.TV for the latest baseball news, special features, scouting reports, and exclusive interviews on the Baseball Show presented by Harrah's every afternoon only on SNY.TV, your online home of all things New York sports. Henry Mejia worked a hitless 8th inning, now trying to finish things off for the Mets. Tyler Colvin up for the first time, leads off for the Cubs. Colvin, former #1 draft pick for Chicago, made the team with a great spring training, and he takes a strike. Colvin, 24 years old. Split his year between Single-A Daytona and Double-A Tennessee last year, so he's never played in Triple-A. And Mejia gets ahead of him 0-2. Now Mejia's 0-2, and the breaking ball fouled off. Jonathan Neese started this game for the Mets, went 5 2/3, allowed an unearned run on 8 hits, struck out a career-high matching 7. Fernando Nieves, the pitcher of record on the long side, he went an inning and a third, allowed no runs, 1 hit, and now Mejia trying to finish the night. Let's try to get a leg up as they try to win a series for the first time this year. Of course, it's a 4-game series, and those are a little harder to win.
Yeah, it's a little tough. It's always, if you're going to do it, you better win the first one.
Of course, they're also harder to lose.
We saw the Rays do that to the Red Sox during their Patriot weekend. Took 4 straight in Fenway Park. Can be done.
Swing and a miss. He struck him out. Mejia with his first strikeout. 1 down in the ninth. Time to take a look at what's coming up on Lincoln Mercury Postgame Live. Let's check in with Chris Carlin and Bobby Ojeda. I'd say it's a pretty good bet. Marlon Byrd with a 3-hit night. About the only bright spot for the Cubs tonight. And Byrd takes wide for ball 1.
Adlai Stevenson was a tougher go of it than the Cubs have been tonight.
Mike didn't go 500 either.
That's right.
He batted 1,000 in his election battles. 1-1 to Byrd.
There we go.
I believe Eisenhower went 1 for 1 in his military battles too.
Yes, he did.
Now Ike will settle for 2 for 4 with an RBI.
500 hitter after his first day.
2-1 to Byrd, who has the only RBI for the Cubs tonight, an infield single off Nieves' foot in the 6th inning.
Only time he made an out was a bullet to right center.
That was the first at bat of the game. Jeff Baker on deck. But Neese did a nice job at scattering those 8 hits and making big pitches when he needed to. And Neese was in line for his first win of the year when he left. He'll get a no decision tonight. Off the end of the bat, and Byrd with a 2-2 count. Tomorrow night, Mike Pelfrey against Carlos Zambrano. Pelfrey, who has been terrific and took the ball in the 20th inning on Saturday, despite having thrown a 70-pitch bullpen session and lifted weights earlier in the day. Now that's like the old days.
It was like when Ronnie came in Atlanta.
I know, he bettered me coming in the 20th inning.
He didn't give up 2 runs either.
That's right. That's right. Well, lucky I didn't give up more.
We'll see whether that outing has any impact on Mike tomorrow night.
I think he'll be fine. He's locked in right now. And Zambrano needs to get a good start, so it should be a good battle tomorrow. Like it was tonight. I think both young pitchers distinguished themselves very well. Wells was strong. I thought Jonathan Neese did a great job pitching with runners on base. Fine pitching from the young guys.
About Zambrano tomorrow, you have no idea what to get. He is so mercurial. Capable of going out and throwing a no-hitter or getting bombed early. So emotional.
Also have to factor him in with his at-bats because he can hit.
And a switch hitter. Oh, got him off the helmet of Byrd.
It just nicked him.
He's okay.
It nicked him.
Nice to see him running to first base. Unfettered.
Just a glancing blow.
Low enough.
Wow. That got him more than I thought.
Yep.
95 miles an hour up near the coconut. Marlin on to first.
Well, that was a scary moment. Bird on base for the 4th time tonight. So a 1-out base runner for the Cubs for Jeff Baker is 1 for 4. And Baker takes a strike. Well, Henry Mejia getting his baptism in the major leagues at age 20. Maybe not quite the way he envisioned it, but he's pitching for the 8th time in the Mets' first 13 games. And the curveball away 1-1. One thing about the Mets under Jerry Manuel, if you work in his bullpen, you get a ton of work.
Be ready every day. You know, I think the other underlying story that we're seeing with Ike Davis at first base and Mejia pitching is how the Mets are incorporating some of their young talent.
Runner goes. It goes by Mejia. Castillo there to play it, and he throws out Baker for the 2nd out. Bird running down by 5 runs after getting hit in the head.
It's one of those things where, you know, they're going to give you a base, so you're going to take it, but it cost Baker probably a base hit.
And is it also the case that maybe Bird was looking to make a hard slide and get some retribution?
I don't think so. No, I don't think so. I mean, if it was a double play kind of attempt, I'm sure he would have went in there hard.
I think it's more getting even with the pitcher, stealing a base, and trying to get an earned run tacked on his night.
So now the Cubs are down to their final out of the night with Derek Lee coming up. Lee is 0 for 3 and a walk after going 0 for 5 yesterday, so he's cooled down after a pretty good run. Each team with 9 base hits, but the Mets able to put together the big inning, their biggest of the year, 5 runs in the 7th, sparked by Angel Pagan's 2-run homer. The former Cub doing it against his old team. And Lee takes it off the plate for ball 1. Not a save situation, but a chance for Jerry Manuel to keep Frankie Rodriguez and Ryota Igarashi and Pedro Feliciano out of the game tonight. His main 3 guys. Cutter off the plate. It's 2-0. That having been said, Igarashi and Feliciano were both up tonight.
That's right. Which is almost like a half a game, right? Problem you have now is Mejia, you talked about it, 8 out of the 13 games, 29 pitches now, going to be 30 plus. You've got to start catching a game where you can give these guys a day off, a premeditated before the game day off.
There's a letter high strike, 2-1. And of course you wonder, as the Mets bullpen continues to perform well, whether that gives the Mets the leeway they need to send Mejia back down to the minors to start.
No, he's been pretty valuable out of that bullpen. You're going to miss him if he's not there.
It's true. He's tough to replace.
2-2 to Lee. Now the Cubs are down to their last strike.
Who else do you have? A guy who can come in for one pitch and get people out?
You hope Igarashi can be that guy.
I think all hands on deck until things go north.
Yeah, probably so.
Right?
Crowd of 27,940 tonight at Citi Field. Hoping Mejia can put an end to matters. Just inside, 3-2 to Lee. Kosuke Fukudome out on deck to be a pinch hitter. Three and 2 to Derek Lee. Fouled away.
Henry's getting that breaking ball up. He's got just big lead for the fastball. Here, hit it. Got a big long swinger up there in lead. Taking chances. They got a pitch count on me, you think, here? Is that why they're going to the bullpen on the phone now?
You know what? I bet you they do have a pitch count, Keith. I bet they do.
Yep, thrown 33 now in an inning and 2/3.
Guy's always been a starter, and as a reliever, I'm sure they want to keep him under 35, 40 or so.
3-2. Too high, ball 4. And so the Cubs are still alive. A hit batsman and a walk from Mejia here in the 9th. And now Kosuke Fukudome will come up as a pinch hitter. Warthen will head to the mound. And Frankie Rodriguez is going to go to work in the Mets bullpen. So now every key reliever has been either in the game or up. Well, when you have a 5-run lead in the 9th, the last thing in the world you want is for the game to get away. So Jerry's not going to take any chances. One more base runner would create a save situation if K-Rod were to come on.
Dan Warthen motioning for Henry to work a little quicker. Come on, get the ball and throw it. A little better tempo for the young Henry.
So here's Fukudome, who's off to a good start this year, hitting at 306. And has a base hit in his only pinch hit at bat this year. 2 on and 2 out, 9th inning, 6-1 New York. Fukudome, who tends to be a very patient hitter, up against the rookie Mejia. Swing and a miss. Not patient there. 0-1.
The rule of pinch hitters, right? When you come in, first fastball, you're swinging.
Unless you're Matt Franco. That was the king of the pinch hit walk. He set a record. He had 21 pinch hit walks one year.
That's right.
Oh, 1-1 to Fukudome. Slashed foul, and again the Cubs are down to their last strike.
You know who's good at a pinch hit walk? Our good friend Lee Mazzilli when he came back.
Yep.
Mazzo.
Boy, Lou can't be happy with how flat his club is.
His club is lucky that this is from Lou from the mid-'80s.
It's a little mellower now. 2 on, 2 out, 0-2 to Fukudome. In there for a call, strike 3, and the ball game is over. 2 strikeouts in the 9th for Henry Mejia as he closes things out on Ike Davis's debut game. Ike with a couple of hits and an RBI. Pagan with a 2-run homer. And the Mets beat the Cubs 6-1.
Well, you called it right there. That young man's first ball game, first at bat, gets his first major league hit. And that was off a changeup that he hit soft liner into right field. Wound up back on his 4th at bat and final at bat in the 7th. And that big 5-run 7th drove in a big run with a base hit off a left-hander. Very impressive. So very successful night for young Ike Davis.
Well, Jonathan Neese pitched well enough to win, winds up with a no decision. Fernando Nieve picks up the win as Pagan's 2-run homer in the bottom of the 7th off James Russell put the Mets in front to stay. The Mets with that 5-run 7th, their biggest inning of the year. They'll try and make it 2 straight over the Cubs tomorrow night, 6:30 the coverage here on SNY. Mets win at 6-1. We'll be right back to Citi Field.